immediately on a comp that deals with it abruptly and immediately. That way ult economy isn't dipping out of your favor for so long. That way you're right back in the fight. You haven't lost 45 seconds or a minute discussing it, then setting back up to stage for a fight. You have the answers before you step into the series, and that comes all the way back down to that, cycle we mentioned of preparation. Knowing what those answers are before you even hop on the mouse and keyboard is what is at least so far, besides the crazy mechanical skill, that's what's putting this team at the top.
I think there becomes another issue to be had, and it kind of comes into think about it on a base by base level, and especially when it comes to individual esports, right? Overwatch is a wave based system, which is an interesting way to go about it. It's one of the only games that is like that. You take CSGO, you take Valorant, you take R6, it's round by round. It's action that leads up and incrementally leads to the eventual team fight that's typically in the middle or the end of the round, and then it's a reset. You go again. In R6, you get to pick whole new operators in between each round and change it up each time. In Valorant, you're stuck with it, but you can change your strategies piecemeal by piecemeal. Overwatch, you can change it anytime. Once you're in your spawn on a death or heading back, you can change your operators, your heroes at any time. And you can also just entirely change how you attack. So you get to have the ability to change your strategy incrementally, change your hero incrementally, and at the same time, you get the choice of when to attack in this wave-based system. There's no dead ground. There's no dead time in this. They're just going to full send it all the way through the round and have constant action. And if they start to snowball off in this engagement and they start to lose their fights early on, then they're going to get punished accordingly. And that goes for both sides.
Sorry, Infernus, I'm having trouble hearing you.
Yeah, it's totally fine.
Caleb,
I understand.
Caleb, we've got you on mic, but you're not muted.
Oh, it is exceedingly loud.
Okay. I'm not sure if you can hear us. Sorry. On our end, what you can hear, chat, is Caleb talking, doing some production stuff, and he was kind of drowning out Infernosis for me, but I'm sure you got all that. To further speak to that, I to almost give a rebuttal for why Overwatch is harder in those settings is you don't get the luxury of that reset, right, until 3 minutes. 4 minutes later. As soon as that first fight is over, that has made those next 3 or 4 minutes so much harder on your team. Ult economy is now not in your favor. The team knows what you're running, and then all they have to do is press tab, and as soon as those switches come out, they see exactly what you've switched to as you come back to the choke, as you come back to stage for that next fight. They can transition accordingly. They can change where they stage accordingly, and then based on where spawn is, potentially go back and switch a whole hero based on that pick. And that's what makes Overwatch so difficult to not only coach, but to grasp as a play style, right? As soon as you lose that first fight, you have swung the odds in the other team's favor for the next 3.5 minutes, unless something drastic happens. A lot easier for it to happen at the lower levels. Take us to Gladiators, then take us to Boise State, and at that level, that bar is so much higher for a mistake to happen, and it creates such a difficult time for any team to come up against a team like Boise State, and that's what we've seen time and time again. That preparation of knowing what to do and when to do it, and then the antithesis of a luxury that Overwatch provides you of no opportunity for a reset until the whole round is over, and now it's your turn to defend or your turn to attack. That's what makes it so hard to take down a team like Boise State, who, in my opinion, is close to a contender's level. I can think of a couple contenders teams they can maybe roll with and beat. UCSC, extremely impressive. Probably the same idea, right? There's a couple contenders teams that this team can legitimately go after and have a real shot at. It's going to be a fantastic series. I'm excited to see it, but I'm worried that we don't just see another Boise State 3-0, and I'm hoping that UC Santa Cruz has something up their sleeve to deter them from that.
Yeah, I think that's when you... How do I phrase this in a way that's a little bit easier to understand? I don't like referencing other games as much, but I get so much insight from other games. I
understand, yeah.
It really, esports are just so interconnected, so intermingled that it's just so easy to draw connections throughout them. But I love the game of Overwatch, the constant action, and what I was anticipating coming into this one, considering how much I'm expecting of UCSC to improve, how much I'm expecting of them to have grown throughout the season, I'm expecting a lot, and I'm expecting this first engagement. One mistake will decide it. The first person to overextend, to get too greedy, whatever it may be, maybe step a little bit too far back away from their front line, the first mistake where they're taken out, it's over. That's it. They're out for the count. That team fight will go in that team's favor, and it's also going to be the opposite. If everyone's just playing their best game, then this first team fight's going to go to whoever can charge that shatter first, whoever can charge their ultimates first, and come into the fight ready to, I guess, physically swing, because we're more than likely to see a Reinhardt, but also metaphorically come out swinging. And both sides are very capable of doing so. But if Precedent will continue to rear its ugly head, Boise has a better chance of doing so. But I want to see UCSC come out and actually make them have a run for their money.
Yeah, and I think they definitely will, right? I think it's not the same. Let me look at exactly what week it was because I want to be accurate here. It's not the same UCSC that Boise State saw in week 6, right?
Not
They got all the way through regular season. Now they've made it through quarterfinals, semifinals, and that's brought them here. That is so much more preparation, kind of the word of the day that we've discussed with these two teams. That's so much more preparation that you've had to prepare for this Boise team. That's, 7, 8, 9 plus 2 weeks of postseason. That's 5 additional weeks of VODs that you have that you can pinpoint to Boise State. That you can say this is exactly what they've done on these maps. Think about it. How many times has Lijiang come up in these different weeks to where you can run down and get a look at exactly what Boise State has done for a Lijiang map, right? Whether it be Control Center, Night Market, and that can change your strategy. I think that additional preparation, I think those additional VODs and the additional time that UCSC has had will allow us to see a different version of them than we saw, unfortunately, get 3-0'd in week 6. And I think that brings us to ultimately a better finals game here in the Gladiators division.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. I think this is going to be, no matter what happens, it's going to be a great game. We're going to see these two teams, these two powerhouses come through and just find such a level of success that it's going to be difficult to really choose one side over the other. Last game we saw the UNA versus Arcadia, I believe, game, and it was neck and neck at the very first 2 maps. It went 1-1, and Arcadia managed to take, I believe, Blizzard World and a massive overtime finish to finish things off. But this is going to be, I hope at least, it's going to be around the same thing. Now, when it's 2 a.m., I'm maybe not hoping it goes to a full best of 5, and I've had to experience that on Sunday night and last night.
Best of 7 now, too.
Yeah, it's a best of 7 for this. So, yeah, I'm not too worried about it. It's not late. It's not a big deal. I want to see this go all the way, even if I have another game after this. I want to see it be contending. I want to see them really try and make them have a run for their money for both sides. I don't want this to be an easy victory.
And to be biased here about the division, if it's gonna happen, let's have it in Gladiators division, right? Let's have the top of the top go to best of 7. That's best case scenario, right? That's an amazing series. Super fun to watch, super fun to cast. Wish you guys could come join us here in the booth. But when you talk about taking it to Boise, which it looks like UCSC is finally going to have a chance to do, finally jumping into Lijiang. Sorry for the wait, but we're right here bringing it to you in Control Center. I'll stop my train of thought. We don't have to stall any longer, Infernosis. We're finally here, and as we said, Control Center, the first map. I'm excited to be here, man. This is it, the beginning of the end.
Yeah, the beginning of the end, and it's really going to come down to this. Starting off on Lijiang, we've already talked about it. Boise typically preferring this. They have a phenomenal fight win rate. And it's going to be interesting to see whether or not Santa Cruz can make that statistic that Boise State impressively has a little bit lower. I have another stat from Boise State as I had that conversation extending for a certain period of time. They are 33-6 this season as a whole for this team. They won Play versus Overwatch over this last weekend, if I remember correctly. They have a massive precedent behind them, and they're looking to make another finals victory here and take it over, another good team of Santa Cruz for the NECC, and that will bring them to that 34-6 stat line for the season. And that's just another impressive feat across the board. That's 40 games. If my math is correct, 40 games they'll be playing, and they're winning 34 of those. That's monstrous.
And let's talk about transparency here, right? Like, if you're UC Santa Cruz, what do you do to push that out of your mind, right? How are you? I think instinctively you're intimidated by that number, right? That is a hard number to look at and try and overcome. But you've got to turn it off for finals like this. The mental game from UCSC has got to be through the roof in order to push that out of their mind and then come forward into this Control Center game in quite literally 3 seconds and turn it on, push it all out of your head, and bring it straight to Boise State.
and you've got to do just that. You have to bring it to them. You cannot stop. You cannot be a team that doesn't take the extra step going forward. They're hoping that bringing out a Junkrat and comping a little bit of the opposing side is going to work out for them. It's basically a mirror match except for the Symmetra we're seeing from Snozlar. Hopefully that will be enough, but it may be, it may not be. It's really going to be a difficult question to go forward. They'll have to get their charge up if they want to contend, but these Junkrat mines are dishing out a lot of damage and really contending on the objective already.
Yeah, definitely so. Goblin immediately gets a pick onto that Symmetra. That's what they needed for that damage to ramp up. Needed to take their time with that team fight. However, Plato and Kel not allowing that as the Diva is demexed and a couple picks coming out for the side of UCSC. However, ultimately, that point inevitably falling to Boise State Blue as they will take control center in this best of 7 first. Already 10% ticking upwards. Goblin coming back from spawn. And if I'm UCSC, I'm immediately changing something. I don't think that Goblin is going to allow Snozlar the time to set this Symmetra up, because you have to buy time for that beam to hit that level 3. Then she's ready to brawl, and the immediate pick potential that Goblin has on that Doomfist is going to try time and time again to not allow that to happen. That is immediately who he's looking for.
Yeah, I think at this point in time, we're having more and more pauses and things going forward. This is something interesting. We're having a couple problems. They say that Boise says that apparently someone knocked something over. I mean, it very well could be, but I mean, we've already seen the first fight. So let's go a little bit into that. We've seen the first fight. We saw it go in Boise State's favor. We saw that we saw a Doomfist as well that attempted to rush forward Ionic and was felled into a trap, and that was kind of one successful point. It kind of set up a standard, I guess, in a way, but it doesn't seem to necessarily matter because Santa Cruz wasn't able to finish off the rest. They lost the brawl up front. They spread a little bit too thin, a little bit too much damage was dished out from Plato, and you take a look in the top of your screen. I don't know if they can actually see that right now. They may only be seeing us, but Plato has their Riptide ready and Ionic does not, which means leading us to believe that Plato dealt more damage and was a little bit more consistent in that fight.
And that's what I immediately want to talk about, and that's a good segue. Is we harped on it before during that previous conversation of ult economy after the first fight determines how the next 3 or 4 minutes go. In control, it's easier to do. You only have to hold for 100 seconds, and you can see they're immediately going to pop that Baptiste window. Asu already popping it because ult economy is in their favor. However, as Ionic coming in with a Riptire pick onto Goblin first.
Yeah, now Riptire trading back out. Plato's is a little bit more successful. Finds 3 on top, and Bagel also collects an EMF. The Sock finds Kel, but it doesn't seem to super matter. They're going to be demexed and possibly de-lifed. They're going to take it a little bit slower in the process. Let them get snowballed just a little bit further. But Anders found Asu and kind of makes it difficult for them to have to allow for that healer to make their return. We could see Santa Cruz opt to take a step forward because now they've gotten a secondary pick. There's no healers up for Boise at this current state of time. They're still running back.
No healers at all, and the side of UCSC has ults to their name. They're going to want to pressure this shield with Ionic's Junkrat, and they're going to want to shatter immediately. They choose to throw the shatter. Doesn't hit anyone, though, Infernosis.
This is a bad position to be in. They split the world in half, and now they're going to have to pay the price. Goblin finding one in the charge for Ionic. Plato frags back to Snozlar, and it's got a player advantage. Boise State have picked 2, and they're not able to find anything off of the Sock Steve bomb, but Goblin is continuing the rampage. Moses out for the count. And the charges are going through. EMF is going to go a little bit too far, and Bagel will complete it off. And Goblin has been on a bit of a rampage. 3 kills in that fight, half of the opposing team. They'll finish off Otters in the last few moments.
And look at how spaced out those kills are, Infernosis. It takes so much time just for UCSC to touch the point, and then for the fight to happen that we're already 99-0 here. Walk with a shatter to his name, you gotta assume he just throws it the first person he sees.
Absolutely. Goblin found 2 at the beginning. Plato will drop the Riptire, and it finds EMF. It's just not even needed at that point. Boise have just continued to clean up. Guac and Kill the last 3. Just that front line doing what they need to do best, be the front line. When you've got healers behind you like Asu and the large Bagel, you can just go, okay, we'll just swing. We'll just hold left click. Occasionally, I'll tap right click as a Reinhardt or as a Diva to pull up my defense matrix, maybe defend somebody behind me if I have to, right? I mean, I'm not a Reinhardt player. You can obviously tell I have no support mindset in mind whatsoever. But
Widowmaker and Reinhardt are extremely similar. Same
they're
play
very
style.
close. Yeah, I hold right click a lot too, you know,
Yeah,
as the
there you go.
Widowmaker. Yeah, it's very similar. They both have you in their sights, and a Reinhardt will definitely press that shift key, definitely charge you down once they get you in their sights. But now we're going to have to worry about some environmental damage that could come through, and also going to have to worry about the Symmetra mirror play to teleport into the objective.
And this is what I'm excited for, Infernosis. We just got to watch Goblin and Plato do their thing, make their job easy, or make Guac's job easy for him. But now it's all Guac as we head to the brawl-centric night market here as the fight immediately breaks out. Ionic getting the first pick onto Kel. That's no good for Boise State.
EMF's taking a lot of damage, though, in the process. Is going to have the Immortality Field to save their life and will be healed up quickly afterwards. But Boise seemingly has lost this first fight. Doesn't seem like they're going to try to contend it a little bit too much, just trying to dish out a little bit of damage to the opposing backline. You see Plato tapping away, but now they're going to have to get a stun to the opposing Vasok. It's not going to matter. Snozbar finds Guac, Kel, and a refrag back to Ionic, and Ace cleans up to Vasok, but it's not going to matter. Red in the feed. Otters, EMS, and Moses cannot be stopped, and they'll continue that rampage going forward. Santa Cruz starts this one off in their control.
Looking good for UC Santa Cruz. Same idea, right? Goblin wanted to really ramp up that Symmetra damage, and they were doing a good job of stalling for that. Guac was trying to just enable him, let him get close enough to that shield from EMF, but then he got walled off by Snozlar, and that was the beginning of the end, as we mentioned it, for the side of Boise State in that previous fight. In this one, they're going to pop window early. A good wall there to stop that high noon. Shatter comes out and gets blocked, and we're already a few ults deep and nothing to show for it, Infernosis.
I mean, you're going to have to rely on Goblin as mentioned to do without any assistance behind it. Bagel finds EMF, but now you've lost your main tank of Guac, but it's not going to seemingly matter. You've got your secondary tank, Kel, who just takes the opposing Symmetra Bionic out for the count, and now taking their sweet time to finish off the Zoc. Goblin's turret will do it instead, but a great way to clean up. Boise also doing a good job of staggering those few players for Santa Cruz left. It looked like Santa Cruz wanted to prioritize getting a last few touches on point, maybe extend it just a little bit further instead of just taking the reset and playing for the next wave.
And when you talk about the next fight situation, Boise State immediately, at least in my opinion, has an easy look at the same 50% that UCSC has. That Primal's going to be able to stall the fight as well as this wall. Blizzard's going to come out, but how much damage can it do with that Symmetra wall already on point?
Yeah, two walls come out. I mean, it's split it in quarters right here. This is a cake, to say the least, but Goblin able to find two, finishing off the opposing Symmetra as well. Plato cleans up to Moses, and it's blue in the feed. Boise State in a spectacular finish. Bagel finds two to finish things off. Supports can do it too. And now another fight for Boise. They had failed to get the first two or three, but now Santa Cruz are failing to find their own.
And it's an interesting idea from Ultrack in there from UCSC. I wanted to assume that they knew that that wall from Goblin was going to be there, as well as the Primal from Kel. Those two ults by themselves almost negate a Blizzard on their own. So it's interesting that they chose to throw it there. I feel like they would have wanted to force one out before the other came. However, they didn't, and now they're down on ults. The window's there. However, Kel falls again, Infernosis.
Yeah, this is a bad start right now with Ionic finding the first frag. A Shatter does come through here from Guac. They're trying to contest going forward. A high noon from Plato connects to one EMF and D-Mex with Sock, but Goblin, Guac, and Goblin, and Guac. Oh my goodness, the GG no re duo combo finds everyone to clean up, and it in fact will be by a narrow millisecond or two a team kill. Santa Cruz have just not found an answer to this Boise State hold.
And unless they're talking about staggers, this is last fight territory already, Infernosis. They don't want to go down 2-0 here on Li Zhang. They've got a Blizzard right at 99%. Can't get picked, but once again, the Symmetra wall is there. Blizzard comes out, and it looks like Guac's going to be stunned for the duration. Great immortality field, but he'll still fall here.
Yeah, it looks like Santa Cruz already taking three up early as Wasak will 1-2 punch, knock out Asu. Kel is just stuck on site. There seem to be the last remaining. That Winston bubble saving for a few narrow seconds, but it will never be enough because Santa Cruz in a spectacular retake. They did not lose a single person in that fight. One for the statistics sheet. Their fight wins have looked good, and they've had to against this Boise State side.
Look at Goblin immediately go on to the Reaper as well. Sees something we don't. They've read the fight, and this is that preparation that we talked about from Boise State Blue. And immediately here's the wall. That's a big wall, though. I think they're going to be able to pick him. No, Plato stays alive through that, as well as Ionic. The high noon comes out, doesn't find anyone, though, but Asu actually finds the pick on the rebacking Vasok.
Yeah, Vasok is the Diva Bomb, and That's a big one despite being killed afterwards, a frag for frag, but Bagel takes out Ionic, and once again, Bagel's kind of been another DPS player for this Boise side. They found so much success with support from Bagel. Kill finds Nozlar. A shatter does come through from EMF, but it'll be short-lived as Guac cleans up the kill. A swing to the rear, and now Boise containing on the objective. They'll solo shatter out the opposing Vasant. Now forced to be DMAC'd. Goblin is just aware, cleans up, and they're trying to get the last player. Immortality fields aplenty. It seems to be a desperation play, and it is just that. Santa Cruz have returned to the objective. They've denied Boise State, and they are getting ever closer to finishing this one off and maybe bringing it at 1-1, forcing a round 3.
At this point, you're closer than almost any team has been to taking down Boise State, trying to tie this up 1-1. Guac does get a pick onto Ionic, though, so he stalls for a little bit, but unless Goblin... Yeah, not going to be able to get back with the boops and the body blocks there. UC Santa Cruz, UC Santa Cruz, huh? UC Santa Cruz ends up coming back. 1-1 here on Lijiang. We're going to head to Gardens for the tiebreaker to see who takes map 1 once again out of this best of 7. And I'll tell you what, Infernosis, this already looks closer than almost any of us could have predicted after seeing Boise State so far throughout this regular and postseason.
Absolutely. I want to point out one big thing to take into account. This one right here is the most different, I guess you could say, when it comes to the last two. The last two very similar in the fact that it's easy to get a visual onto sight. Symmetra's going to have a really good play. We obviously have seen Snozlar stick to that and still sticking to that, but this one, a lot more open, a lot taller, free air, and it's not contended in a little bit of a short space. You don't really have to worry as much about long angles being held, but you also have to worry about internals. It is a constant battle throughout the entire field. This map is still anyone's game because it's so different from anyone we've seen so far.
And you'll see Ionic and friends for UCSC opt for the bird here of Echo. Focusing beam comes out, but immediately focused down by the rest of Boise State. I am surprised that Goblin got that kill. There were 6 people shooting at Ionic there on that Echo.
Goblin's doing a great job of prioritizing targets, knows exactly who to go for. Will be felled because they were antied out by Moses, but Kellen managed to take care of that as well. Not necessarily a problem, and it seems to be they're going to step back to the objective, be able to retake this. You're seeing Snozlar rotate to Tracer as they were initially teasing that Symmetra, but not anymore, and actually does have the Pulse Bomb ready if they do want to bring it forward. Snozlar is teasing the opportunity to go for it, but at this current time, Boise with the objective. Santa Cruz need to get more than just one pick, and they're already starting off in the negative with 3 dead.
I mean, look at how aggressive they are. You can almost forget that this is UCSC's spawn, right? This is where they come out. And you immediately see Boise State as soon as a pick happens. I mean, they are quite literally at the spawn door of UCSC within 10 seconds after that initial fight breaking out and that pick happening. Goblin staging almost in their spawn. Gonna TP out, stay safe for now, but about 70% to it. He needs to Wraith and get out, but I'm not sure he'll get the kill, so they're gonna collapse on him. They'll throw a self-destruct just to save him.
Yeah, it's an interesting position. Bagel finishing off EMS. They overextended it, not hot, have Leap ready to go. Goblin stepping up, getting the heals necessary by fighting the damage, takes out Otters. They'll Death Blossom as well. It doesn't find that much besides demacking the suck. And Snazo will clean up the kill, but punched out by Plato in return, paying the price for their discrepancies. Guac's going to be able to hop back to the objective. Boise with another successful fight win, but it did go in both directions, and Santa Cruz are raring to go immediately after it.
UCSC with about 5 ultimates to their name. They're going to immediately start throwing him here. Pulse Bomb and High Noon comes out. They do find 2 with it. Guac, Goblin, and ASU falling here. No support, DPS, or an immediate front line for the side of Boise State. They'll stall it out, try and get as close to 99 as they can. You'll see Bagel do his best. Does farm a beat drop during that. Guac will come back as Winston just to once again give that 600 HP ultimate economy to the side of UCSC for the sacrifice of a few seconds here. 82 ticking upwards to 10%. As far as ults are concerned, plenty of options for UCSC to continue holding this. That Primal can usually guarantee you a free 30 or 40% as long as it's played correctly. And that immediate pick onto Goblin is definitely a good start at that.
Yeah, Starzar has been so consistent about targeting Plato, not allowing Plato to target out the back line of this Santa Cruz side, and it's such a good job of doing so. Take a look at Starzar's position, has Pulse Bomb ready, waiting for them to kind of commit to one side, and wherever they go to, they'll rush them down and maybe also get their own. Looking at Plato in the trend, the final Starzar again, Hainu covers by Ionic, Otter spots the Valkyrie, and EMF goes in for Primal Rage, but Guac finds the first kill, knocking Ionic down and finishing off the fight. They're trying to get damage offward. EMF with the Primal Rage finds one, but Guac finds their own immediately afterwards to Moses. Starzar with the Pulse Bomb to Asu. It's back and forth action, but it's still mostly ready to feed as Santa Cruz are trying to stay alive in this one, but Boise have contention on the objective, and their tanks are all still raring to go.
They absolutely are. EMF with only about 100 HP left. They're trying to burst him. The bubble comes out, followed up by a huge defense matrix. Guac does ultimately fall. EMF healed up as well. And UCSC keep that after a very hectic fight. Picks both ways. Ultimates thrown both ways. Ultimately, the side of Boise State is the only ones that come out with those check marks next to their name. You see Moises right there with a nano ready to go. I've got to assume that goes to EMF just to sustain throughout these fights. Coalescence will come out, and once again, look at that aggression from Boise State.
This has actually worked in their favor. Plato takes Naza, and that coalesces with Asu finds the sock. It does not necessarily bode well for them at this point in time. They'll use the resurrection to make sure they can get it back, hoping to bring back and continue with that extra layer of support. But huge. Primal Rage comes down from EMF. They're huge here, and Hainu comes as well. It's going to get eaten up, but here comes the Death Blossom from Goblin, not doing anything on top. Frags in both directions. Snozar with a Pulse Bomb finds Goblin. They're still contending on top. Tiba about to be D-Mech kill. Not available in this fight anymore because EMF is contended, but Guac just found your Pulse Bomber player of Tracer. It's still anyone's game, but Santa Cruz are putting up a magnificent fight to try and take this one back.
Oh, Ionic gets the kill on Plato. That's all the stall that Boise State had for the point back. Ionic almost fell to the orb from Asu. Instead, a large bagel ends up picking Ionic. Snozlar picks a large bagel, though in return, it's all tied up here, and Asu has the coalescence. That might be enough to take this back into Boise State's favor, but that's a huge ante from Moises.
EMF has yet another Primal Rage. This is monstrous by all accounts, finding Guac with it instead. Snozlar takes Goblin. A Pulse Bomb from Plato will stop the bleeding slightly, but it might be too late.
Oh, he gets
the resurrection from Otters does get off. Refrag back. Plato not letting it go unpunished, but now Plato anti, and it's gonna go. Goodness. Santa Cruz pulling an upset in map 1 here. This is a map that Boise State had a monstrous fight win percentage, and Santa Cruz says, not today, we're taking map 1.
Infernosis, I'm speechless. We talked about it for upwards of 15 minutes. Here's the play of the game from Plato. Not able to close out the map, though. We talked about it, Infernosis. 15 minutes spent about this first control map, that if UCSC can take this, the map that relies more on that mechanical skill, you'll get those fights for free on point. They'll let you have it. If you can take that, you can shift that momentum into your favor. You don't have to wait 2 or 3 maps just to get a good read onto Boise State. You take it at the beginning. That momentum has got to swing in UCSC's favor. However, Boise State holding the momentum, for the entirety of the season. Is that enough to keep it through this series after UCSC comes and immediately brings it to the side of Boise State and takes Li Jiang by disbelief of my own? UCSC up 1-0 to Boise State in this Gladiators best of 7 finals. I'm feeling it right now, Infernosis.
I mean, I am too. How can you not at this point in time? And that's a big one to be had, because if you can win on Control on a map that is pretty handily Boise's one of their favored maps to go to, you have a good chance to win map 5, because that is also Control. Unless you just, if Santa Cruz wins the next 4, or next 3, I guess you could say, to take that 4 win, then, I mean, you don't have to see map 5, but I think Boise will probably take 1, if not 2, going forward, and UCSC can just take another Control map on map 5 when it comes down to it. But seeing how it boded right there, seeing how the brawl went down, and seeing how just, I guess, back and forth action
so
it was.
Yeah.
I mean, I want to call out the support players from UCSC. I mean, I had talked to Boise, and they said they were scared of EMF and Moses, and they had a right to be. Did you see that fight? I know we had the pleasure of seeing it when it happened. EMF having to dodge in and out of bubble, jumping up at 100 HP. You commented about it. They were in desperation, dire straits of needing heals. They got it, and that led to them winning the fight, which led to them winning the game. I mean, Santa Cruz off the back of EMF and Moses and Otters on that support line is just unstoppable in that fight.
You talk about that fight. Think about 10 seconds later into that fight. EMF stays up. Ace U from the side of Boise State comes back with a coalescence to sustain Guac, to sustain Plato. Moses hits the ante of his life and immediately throws it into the backline. It connects with Guac and one of the DPS. Can't remember who. I believe it was Goblin, maybe Plato. However, that coalescence unable to heal either of those heroes, and that's what turned that last fight around. With Guac not being able to do exactly what you mentioned, jump in and out of those bubbles like EMF was, with no tank line, they could immediately jump onto the back line, and it is exactly what UCSC did. Wound up with them taking Gardens, but we talked about back and forth. Infernosis scraped tooth and nail just to get that dub right there. Control goes 99-99 on both Night Market and Gardens at the end. I mean, not even close on Control Center, but then UCSC got the bearings underneath them and was able to take it to them. So close on both of the maps, and for them to take it means so much right here.
Absolutely. Even if we don't see, I mean, Santa Cruz win it in the end, they've already gotten a map, which is something that most teams in this division don't get to say against this Boise State squad. There's a reason Boise State is first. They are a team that is so phenomenal by all accounts. They're always fun to watch. Even if it is a one-sided affair, they're always fun to watch. You can learn more. You can see how they work together. Their personalities on top of everything there, and it's always a pleasure to be able to sit here and digest what they're doing. But Santa Cruz, they're putting their hat into the ring. We said that they're a different team than what we saw week 6, I think is what we had stated it was. They're a different team. They've made it all the way through here. I mean, with only 2 maps ever being done against Boise, this is now a 3rd. We could see Santa Cruz put more maps against Boise in this finals than Boise lost in the entire game. And that wouldn't be the first time we see that here in the NECC finals for this playoffs. We saw that for R6 on Sunday, where one team lost the first 2 maps in a best of 5, and they had never lost a map the entire season. A single one, and they had to pull a full reverse sweep on the next 3 maps to win it out. I mean, it is underdog central. Even if the underdogs aren't necessarily winning, they're putting up way more of a fight than anyone has been anticipating.
And it, like you said, it's these David and Goliath stories where you've seen, the Goliath that is Boise State barrel through the regular season, come through the quarterfinals and semifinals with little to no adversity, right? Midland barely taking to Boise State. We've seen that matchup before. Good to see them again in semifinals. However, now that you're here at finals, you immediately drop a game to UC Santa Cruz, a team that you've previously 3-0'd, a different team or not. It stings a little bit, right? You're in that situation where you've said, I know we can beat this team because I have a legitimate track record of beating this team. Why am I dropping a control map on Lijiang when it's supposed to be one of our strongest? And that's what Boise State has to figure out in these, as you mentioned, 2 or 3 minutes where, you and I can sit here and deliberate how much is going on in the locker room of Boise State right now, to where they're figuring out how to come out of this into this next map and determine what next. How do we take it to Moses? How do we get these antes off of us? How do I get EMF off of my backline as this Winston? Where do we go, right?
I mean, this has been a phenomenal game to behold. I think we're heading to Hollywood next, I think. I mean, it did just get switched over to it, so it could be a possibility. I'm not going to mention too much. I do want to mention the stats like you and I have been going about. Sure. I sent that to you as well if you want to touch in on it as well. We need to wait. This was very kindly given to us by Boise State to allow us to have more talking points, which we have definitely needed with these breaks in between and the problems that ever arose. So, in retrospect of that, we're not going to give away all their secrets, and we're not going to give away a little bit too much information, only giving the information that is applicable at that moment. And when it's a little bit too far gone for UCSC to say, nah, we actually want to play something else, you seem a little too good for that, I really want to be able to talk about it because there are some really good maps here for hybrid that Boise are really good at, and then there's some that they're not so good at. There's some that they're not there, and those are just going to be a go-to ban for them. I think any team, when you know that you're not doing well, it's just a go-to ban. So it wouldn't be shocked to see that go out. It's just basically a guarantee of that. But I think Santa Cruz can come into this. And if we do see this map, which I think is Hollywood, I haven't looked at the stats, so this isn't me judging off of Boise State's win or fight percentage or anything. I think Hollywood is a map where Winston can play very, very well, especially if you're taking that first control point. And when you've got EMF that's just a monster Winston player, it's going to be difficult for Boise to contend against it.
And then think about the same thing on Hollywood. After you take that first point, think about the high ground control on Streets phase. Who controls that better than a Winston, better than a Diva? Maybe Guac's Wrecking Ball? I mean, we're talking a season past when, before you joined us, before we had the pleasure of recruiting at Infernosis, previous season, Guac was a monster on Wrecking Ball. Since then, there's been, some Wrecking Ball nerfs. Some consider them unfortunate. Me personally, a fan. Don't at me, Guac.
Same.
However, a monster on that Wrecking Ball. And with Wrecking Ball having those nerfs, it looks like Guac and friends usually favoring that Reinhardt. Is EMF able to get to that high ground and control it with no one really there to contest him in the same fashion as Guac could have, as we mentioned, a season ago? To go back to those stats like you mentioned, you know, I feel like I'm safe to harp on it. Boise State mentioning that Li Jiang was one of the lower comfort picks for the side of UC Santa Cruz. So they've come into these VODs, right? They've seen these VODs and said, hey, this shouldn't be a super comfortable map for the side of UC Santa Cruz. And here we are. UCSC takes that win. So that's even a bigger punch in the gut to Boise State, the Goliath that they are. Maybe this is the David that is UCSC, slowly taking that slingshot and taking it to Goliath here. Maybe that's the first punch in the gut that ends up bringing Boise State down. We'll have to see, but I think it's important to mention that they thought for now that this wasn't going to be a comfortable map for the side of UCSC, and instead they end up dropping 0-1 to it.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely interesting to see what is going to pan out. I think there is a couple points I want to bring up. One of the big ones I want to bring up is actually the one you stated earlier. There was a season before I came here. Like, that's impossible. Like, that's just definitely not a thing. I mean, let's be fair here, Unicorn. Was the NECC anything before I got here? I'm just kidding.
Some would say it was better, but
I would too. Actually,
I snuffed those rumors out Infernosis. I hear that and I'm like, nah, dude, not my best friend Infernosis.
Oh my goodness. Unicorn. I would believe that if I didn't know what you were like off camera.
I don't know what you're talking about.
I don't know what you're talking about. Yeah.
If you got beef to take up with, I don't know, like Yelkreb or something, then take it up with him. All right, that's
there is no beef with Yelkreb. The only beef with Yelkreb is the nice steak dinner I take him out to celebrate a good cast.
So that's what it takes, huh? That's what it takes to be the play-by-play in these high division games, huh? All right, noted.
Is that what your thing is? You gotta I'm not the person who decides who gets the schedules. I'm just the person that gets placed in them. All right, come on.
At Caroline. Yep.
Yeah, there we go. Gotta talk to the person in charge. It's not me at that point. I mean, listen, you got scheduled with me twice, and I know that's a major deficit, but you're going to have to get over it. Okay.
I think over the course of these 3-4 hours, however long we hang out with each other, just know that it wasn't as difficult to carry this cast as I make it seem when you watch the VOD back. It's honestly pretty easy. But you're a great guy to hang out with.
Major week 1 R6 vibes. Major week 1 R6 vibes.
Yeah, so that's what we got. Okay, we got to get with Caleb. You got to get me on a Rainbow Six cast.
I got to get you on a Rainbow Six cast.
I've got no idea what I'm talking about. I played the game for about a month, and I've got good mechanical skill, right? I think I hit top gold, maybe like the beginning of platinum, which I don't think is too bad. I'm not really sure. I think that's above average, but I'm not terrible. I just have no idea what's going on.
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, I mean, here's I'm going to give you a little bit of information. My biggest supporter is my dad. He watches 90% of the cast I go into. Literally has no idea how to play any of the games, and will watch them and then go, oh, I think I know what I'm doing, because he explains it pretty well. And he'll launch the game because he owns them, because he has money, because he's an adult. And he plays them, and he gets in and he goes, I have no idea what the walk button is, right? And it's like like a straight loss. Like you can watch a game of R6, have no idea what's going on, and the casters for R6 are some of the most clinically talented casters when it comes to having to digest, because it's 7 minutes a round. You're dealing with 4-minute rounds, and then on top of that, you've got 3 minutes in between round periods, so it's like a 7-minute digest to go through. Play-by-play, you get a minute at the end, but you still have to do color, and then you go into Valorant, and it's just like, okay, I've got 30 seconds, and then all the action drops, and it's no big deal. And then it's Overwatch, where it's just like, it's just
right, constant, it's this back and forth.
You just gotta, it's so difficult. Overwatch is such a difficult game to cast, because it's so different. I mentioned this earlier, because Overwatch is the only like wave-based game that's really fluent right now. I mean, it's just so different that it's a completely new package to open when you're trying to learn how to cast.
Well, hey, You're getting there. You know, you're doing your best, and that's all we can ask for. You're so talented, Infernosis. I wouldn't be throwing shade on stream if I didn't know how talented you were. Everybody does. And now this is the part where you say, "Oh, wait, Unicorn. This is how talented you are. You're such a good person." Now you say that.
Unicorn, you're talk to. I mean,
Wow.
sorry, there
Wow.
seemed to be some disturbance right there. Not exactly like what happened. That was interesting. I mean,
Yeah.
I can try it again if you want me to. You're such a I hope we get to do it more often, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. I must be having some technical difficulties.
It's strange. Is there something
here.
happening? Is like my mic cutting out? Is this thing on?
Yep. At Glubinator on Twitter, if you want to respond to those technical difficulties.
Yeah.
Just tag at unicornicola_ for best caster of the year.
At Infernosis with a 1.
Are we talking
as my
about
last
Overwatch
line.
or something?
No, actually, we were
Boise
told we don't
State,
have to stay
yeah.
on topic.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
I'm running with it. Well, I have a go-to casting partner for like most of the games I cast. His name's Fellow. He
Thanks.
caster at the NECC.
Oh.
He doesn't do Overwatch. You're basically that. You, Nuclear, Yelker when you two aren't available. I mean, but he's my go-to caster for most things when it comes to it. We have the best, I'd say, chemistry because we can joke around and make dad jokes.
Is it my hair or like what's the problem?
No, not literal dad. Not. I know that may seem strange to you. No, but like dad jokes. Well, not Jim's dad jokes. That's like 70s and 60s.
You mentioned
dad
that he
jokes.
was your go-to duo, and I just like, is it the voice crack?
That might have been a little bit. It's all, no. It's, you know what? You're my go-to duo for Overwatch. Because he doesn't play Overwatch.
Thanks.
So,
Okay. Well, we'll win him over, chat. Don't worry.
There we go.
Bring him to the dark
you know
side.
what, Unicorn? You win me over more and more every single day, and then we get off camera, and then it's right back down the
That's all I can hope for.
I'm gonna run a bit forever now for the rest of NECC's existence that you are a terrible person off stream for no reason. No. I mean, I'm saying it now. You're not. I'm saying it now. You're not. But I'm gonna say you are for the rest of NECC forever. Just like terrible off camera. I mean,
like one of those like super dramatic, like pompous actors or actresses. You know, like as soon as we're backstage, just like, ugh, you guys did awful, this and that. One of those.
Yeah, like one time we ended a cast, and I said, "Good job, guys. I really appreciate it. Once again, Unicorn, love you. Always appreciate casting." And he went, disconnects. I mean, it was the most hurtful thing. I mean, that one really right in the heart. Yeah.
I don't personally remember that.
Oh, strange. You try not to remember when you hang out with me, I know. It's sad.
Yeah, maybe I just put all the disgust from your lack of professional capabilities to the back of my head so I can suppress
I'm the one wearing a suit here.
What,
I'm the one looking snazzy.
Sure.
Yeah, let's do that. Let's send it over to a booth.
For a while. We really appreciate you guys listening to us be the best of friends. We're going to send it over to Nuclear and Coach Jim, and they'll probably talk about something relevant for a while. We'll see you guys in a few.
Alrighty, we're going to give Infernosis and Unicorn a quick break. I was giving Scott a hard time earlier, but Infernosis and Unicorn doing great work there at the casting desk. Joining me now, Chase Newcomb. We're going to sit here and talk a little bit while we get things figured out. So if chat has anything they want us to talk about, just throw it in Twitch chat. We'll try to get to it. Remember, there is a 3-minute delay. So if we don't... I'm being told to stop talking by Caleb. And he muted himself. Okay, he's back with them. I thought he was back with us. The man's got too many microphones going. Chase, I've been sitting here talking. I've introduced you, but I haven't let you say a word. How's your day going, Chase?
It's going incredible, Jim. I am just having a great time. I really enjoy what we do here at the NECC. It's been a really great evening, and I'm excited to get on cast later, man. I'm going to be casting some games. Really, the last match of the evening was Septilence, and I'm just extremely excited. We got later on in the evening, that'll be Fresno State Blue versus Carroll University, the finals for Navigator Division, and 1 and 2 seed. But after watching that first set that we saw from Boise State and UC Santa Cruz, it could go either way in the set. That was a really close game 1.
It was. I mean, 99-99, and just like who clears first? Why not?
Yeah. Yeah, right.
And that's why we have divisions here. We have divisions here to get that kind of place in the finals. That's what everybody wants to see. Nobody wants to see a 4-0 stomping. Nobody wants to see that. We want blood on the ground. We want to see it going back and forth. We want to see it both ways. Speaking about wanting to see things, I want to see St. Ambrose come up and play my Peacocks.
Oh, do you? For those of you that don't know, Jim and I both run schools here in Iowa. So we got that hashtag made best going on, but the rivalry is real. And you know what, Jim? I'd be more than happy to come up and stomp your team. Pick a day.
What game? What game?
Any game. Go for it.
Any game?
Mm.
Me and you, forget teams. Me and you, StarCraft Brood War.
You and I, StarCraft Brood War? Okay, I have about no hours in StarCraft Brood War, so you're taking that dub.
Yes, I am. No, we should go best of 3. We should go Rocket League, Overwatch, and League of Legends. We should go best of 3.
I love it. That's a great idea. We got to do it in the fall, though. I'm sure you're more than down for that because I know that I have some talent coming in the fall. I'm sure you do as well.
I do. I may or may not have some really good FPS talent coming in.
Oh, well, I may or may not have some really good Rocket League talent coming in. So,
so you'll take Rocket League, I'll take FPS, and we'll leave it up to League of Legends.
We didn't even wait. You said Rocket League, Overwatch. So you mean DPS talent in Overwatch, right?
First person. There's first person shooting in Overwatch.
Okay, fair. I've just never heard Overwatch kind of alluded to as a first person shooter.
You're in first-person perspective and you're shooting. What else is it?
Okay, you know what? Fair, Jim. 100%. I don't downplay that. That actually, fair. You win this one. I have an FPS
finally
team,
won something. I finally won something. All right. No, St. Ambrose, great program. About 2 hours south of us here in Upper Iowa. I've been down there twice, I think. One time before you were there. And then I was in Davenport. I didn't go visit St. Ambrose, but I was down there in Davenport. There's a really good restaurant down there, about a mile off campus.
What restaurant? Which one?
Oh, dude, it's like a hippie place. They had really good pretzels. I just remember really good pretzels.
And so they have really good pretzels, and there's a really good place downtown called Barrel House. I'd highly recommend. There's also some really great Overwatch action that you guys are probably missing out on, and we're going to cut to here very shortly. It sounds like they're trying to get things moving and grooving on the mic.
All right, so we're ready. So Caleb's back here. He tells us we're ready. I'm going to believe him because I don't want to keep talking here. Chase, thanks for coming in, letting Infernosis and Unicorn have a break. I just noticed our names have been wrong the entire time, but everybody knows who we are. We're big names. People know us. We're going to go match round 2. I think it's just round 2, or yeah, it's round 2. So we're going to round 2, Infernosis and Unicorn on the call.
Well, we're back. We've got ourselves, and in fact is going to be Hollywood, so we will be able to talk just for a moment as it gets ready to talk about those stats we talked about. Hollywood for Boise State.
Stats, you chewed that French fry. Impressive.
I did,
stats
yeah.
before we got on camera.
I mean, he really rushed me through it. I had to put ranch on it to slide it down easier.
No, I thought I was going to have to go back in because I thought your mouth was going to be full.
No, I'm going, dude. I'm chunking it.
You got it.
62%.
Talk about some relevant stats.
Yeah, 62% for their fight win rate on this map. So that's actually not too strange. I mean, that's a very, it's still above average, above the 50%, but it is a pretty median margin. So maybe hybrid is a little bit less. I mean, obviously when you have Li Jiang, which was at 82%, a 62% kind of lags a little behind. But I mean, this could be a pretty big thing, but they also have listed that UCSC, Santa Cruz, they favor this pretty heavily. They favor this map highly. So it's interesting to see what might go through.
From Boise State, right?
Absolutely.
And you'll see Boise State come out with Goblin on that crazy hit scan. Once again, Neely and Yelk mentioned seeing Ironcrad as like a baby goblin with the Ash he pulled out on Busan. We'll see if Goblin can live up to his name here, be the father of that Ash here at the NECC. And immediately a large bagel does pick Snozlar, but Vasson getting a pick as well, and Ionic is opening this up. This looks bad. EMF's going to try and get back in as soon as he's sustained.
Yeah, I mean, they're doing a really good job right now if you're Santa Cruz of actually keeping EMF still alive. Vasok's dealing a lot of damage as well as that support player now rushing and finding yet another into Asu. The supports out for the count, handled off by Vasok, and they'll take out a tank player as well. I like to see a Sigma. I love to see Kel on Sigma because I love Sigma as a hero in this game, but it's just not really the place for this. It didn't work out. You didn't have a way to eat a lot of the damage coming through. You didn't have a way to contest as aggressively getting in their face, and you paid the price accordingly. Kel will have to make the switch off and go back to that diva they were favoring previously.
And this is what we talked about for the side of EMF and friends for UCSC, controlling that high ground. Guac is on that Rhine. They immediately recognize that. They'll give up some payload space to get that high ground advantage, knowing that if they want to continue pushing that payload, they're going to be directly under Goblin and those dynamites. He's ready with a Bob. You'll see Kel drop down, immediately going to throw a Bob. The window is there as well, and Guac's going to drop onto the back line. I love this play from the side of Boise State. However, not going perfectly so far.
Yeah, Santa Cruz is able to get a little bit of wiggle room. The Primal Rage from EMF, they're being healed up, giving a little bit of support, and they're going to have the option to kind of jump back into this one to try and keep going, but Guac finds a Fire Strike kill into the opposing player of Snozlar. Another Bob comes out now. I think it's Ionix that gets dropped through. They're looking to continue on with a constant spree of damage, but a Graviton Surge from Basant comes through. It finds a lot in the process, but there's no one really there to capitalize off of it. No ults behind as well, but a rally does come through from Otter. Snozlar's punching out Play-Doh, and they'll find a second kill onto Kel, and now Guac, who slept, taking a short little nap, will now be taking a long nap. Felled and killed by the 3K triple kill finder of Snozlar.
Such a long team fight and such a good team fight to watch. You really get to see how talented both of these teams are. In that fight, tempo ultimates were the name of the game. You see Bagel drop the sound barrier. He throws the beat drop. Immediately after about 3 seconds of it ticking, Vasok throws the Graviton Surge. Guac then follows that up with an Earth Shatter, and UCSC still take it and force 2 ultimates out of the side of Boise State Blue. A fantastic fight for them. Ran a little bit long, but it's got them in a great position as Snozlar finds 2 with that pulse bomb.
This is absolutely devastating. Snozlar able to clean up yet another triple kill, make it a 4K in the fight. I mean, when you can clean up 4 out of the 6 kills in a team fight and get the team kill off of it, Snozlar is not just dealing damage, they are the damage. They are an entirely big unit. I attribute it, I talked about it in Valorant, I talked about it in R6, talked about it in everything. When you're able to play this well and have such a high streak, you don't become a threat, you become a raid boss, and you're everyone's biggest fear.
And that biggest fear is finally taken down as Plato switches to a 3 now. He got the headshot on it, but however UCSC continues to clean up, Goblin finds a little bit of sustain there with that pulse bomb onto the Brigida of Otters. However, EMF in trouble here trying to sustain, and man, that bubble, that dancing around that bubble like you see is so impressive, and he's able to pull it off time and time again. Don't worry, I see you eating that fry, I'll keep talking. He's able to consistently do that, and watch how much space they're going to be able to take here on their own. EMF jumping up high ground, and just that cleave staging from that high ground is going to be what makes it so difficult for Guac to push in and contest payload. He's got to wait for it to reach outside.
Yeah, and now the aggressive stance comes forward. EMF has been nano boosted by Moses. Otters has popped a rally as well. They'll be able to find success. Otters finds a kill into Guac. Now Moses takes it rid of and gets rid of the Immortality Field. Graviton Surge comes out, doesn't manage to connect to anything, but no one's really able to escape the rain that's coming through. Plato pops a high noon, taken out pretty quickly by Vasok as they'll combo with a right click and a punch. And the only consolation kill that we're seeing Boise able to grab is Asu into Snozlar. This looks like a done and done. A Shatter may be able to stop the bleeding slightly from Guac, but now antied and removed quite swiftly. They'll have to switch to the ball, hoping it's going to be enough. When the ball starts rolling, you're going to have to find a way to escape. It's just becoming a game of bowling, and this one's a strike for UCSC.
The Kel Wrecking Ball was trying to spin to win, however the rotation was brief from that Wrecking Ball as he is immediately focused and taken down, and man, is that a scary number to look at. You're down 0-1, you lost Li Zhang, and now you just gave up a 3-minute and 3-second attack to UCSC on a map that you picked, chose to defend, and I'll be honest, you didn't win a single team fight, right? You lost after first point. Streets phase got snowballed. You had a very long brawl at the end of phase 3. That's the only reason you farmed that extra minute, or excuse me, were able to take away that extra minute. Not a single team fight won. That's got to look bad for that percentage, Infernosis. And once again, a map that they picked, they find themselves attacking against a very scary number that UCSC put up.
I mean, this does not bode well. I mean, for a team like UCSC, who's been an underdog, and that David and Goliath story, we're going to say that about a billion more times here, Unicorn, and that's totally fine. That's an interesting talking point to go for. That's really scary, by all accounts. I mean, 3 minutes on the clock. Yoke would say something along the lines of, they capped in the future, or something stupid like that. I love him to death, but that was the funniest line I'd heard in a week, and I just started crying in the middle of our cast. I mean, it's a very impressive stat line to go for that.
Oh, for sure,
and
yeah.
That was definitely not a 60% fight win rate.
No.
100% not. They'll have to win 100% of the fights here if they want to bring that back out to a 50-50 average, because that was a one-sided slaughter. And Santa Cruz, they had it from the very beginning. They had it from the get-go.
Plato switches to Tracer at the last second, and man, did I want to see him stick on that Sombra. I love Sombra, especially in these high-level games. Being able to watch how Tracer comes out, and both DPS already exchanging picks. However, Goblin in trouble needs to get sustained fast. As we saw in chat, don't snooze on Snozlar comes out in the chat. He immediately finds a pick. However, he all even now, and Goblin quick with it, just kind of built different, Infernosis.
I mean, there's nothing I like to see more than a Widowmaker pop off, and I've known Goblin is a very, very competent Widowmaker. They do exceptionally well, and they've managed to gather space by removing out some of that smaller, weaker, I guess you could say, DPS, and they'll be able to bring themselves forward to a more advantageous position. But they lost the initial fight. I guess it's really only losing like 25% of a team fight. It wasn't necessarily all of it. It looks like they're going to sacrifice Snozlar for a little bit of portion. They'll actually be able to step back onto the point. Kel being forced off as well. Looks like they'll have to stop contesting for just a moment, but EMF is exceedingly low, but it'll be Vasok who finds the first. Iconic into the second to Kel. Now Plato finally ending off EMF's reign, but at this point in time, they're going to be fragged right back in the sniper-on-sniper battle of Ionic. The Goblin wins in the favor of Santa Cruz. They're going to force Boise State off. It got close, but no cigar.
Infernosis, I'm over here thinking about talking points to how well Boise State did getting ready to go into Streets phase. UCSC come back and take it because all the focus was on EMF. That allowed the Brigida from Otters, Moses to come back on the honor and sustain the backline that was on point with no Plato and no Quack there to stop it. Grab comes out early, and that's just going to throw a couple picks back in the way of UCSC, and this is going to continue to be a good hold here. And I mean, look at it for now, Infernosis. You've got the sock ready at 90% charge, building up a Graviton Surge again. Plato's got the Pulse Bomb, but it's got to be huge in order to break down this defense that UCSC was able to put up on the back of a retake that wasn't looking like it was going to go in their favor in the first place.
Yeah, I mean, this is a bad position to be in. Bob will be dropping out, but a rush does seemingly come to the back line. EMF finds Kel early on, but Guacus Farmer Rage not able to get it off because Otters finds it instead. And Ionic finds Goblin, who switched off the Widow back to that Reaper we've seen previously. And that's just not enough. Ionic is iconic on this Ashe. They don't need a Mercy pocket to increase the damage. They just need to hit the shots, and they're doing just that. They look phenomenal, and Santa Cruz is playing hot, playing pretty, and sitting pretty because of it.
Ionic looking so good that you see Plato jump off of that Tracer to take the 1v1 with Ionic's Ashe. I mean, look at the charge on the sock. Quack not able to jump in there and stay without popping that Primal. However, isn't enough to make that space and trying to bounce Otters around. Finally able to find that kill. Vasok really pressuring Kel out. About 200 health on Kel, not able to jump back in. The Graviton Surge is there. I'm not sure if they throw it though. Quack in trouble and does fall. Snozlar throws the Death Blossom. It is finally, there we go, enough to clean up Kel, but look at the picks coming in from Plato. That spells a good story for you for the attack.
Man, Santa Cruz are just finding success after success, and Snozlar, who's made that switch we've seen off the Tracer that's just been so good, it's managing to work out. That Death Blossom was charged exceedingly quickly, bringing it back and winning the one-on-one against Goblin. Goblin's Death Blossom may be up soon, but I think Snozlar's won't be up far behind if they just continue to deal that damage. I think Snozlar's doing a better job of picking their target, picking up and targeting Quack specifically, but right now Plato's bomb's coming up. Graviton Surge, anti as well! Coalescence comes through, but it's maybe only enough to save one. It does kill Snozlar, but two are felled in the same process. Bombs on site for Ionic, sorry, not for Ionic, for Plato, I believe. No, it is Ionic. Ionics, and they're still trying to contest onward. Guac is getting a lot of damage off with some support from Goblin. Goblin at 1 HP. Jet Blossom attempted to be popped, but doesn't make it off, and Plato is attempting to save their team, but it's not boding well because Santa Cruz is out swinging and finding blood.
The undefeated team in an overtime situation trying to hold on to point. The picks are in favor of UCSC. They're not able to do it. They're going to take Hollywood off the back of Boise State's pick.
Victory.
I'm at a loss. I'm at a loss of words. There is no words to see just how bad that map, the entire map of Hollywood, was more one-sided than the first round, I should say, of Lijiang Talent, which was a 100% to 0. It was more one-sided than that.
Here, in this play of the game, you just kind of see what defined this entire hold for UCSC, and that's Snozlar fragging out on this Tracer. Infernosis, I'm right there with you. I'm at a loss. For two people who are in a position to talk a lot, find themselves at a loss for words, and I can't believe it. UCSC has taken down Boise State 0-2 in a best of 7, and they're set up to 4-0 them at this point because they are looking strong. I can't stress enough. This was off the back of Boise State's pick, off the back of Boise State's defense. That is, I'm not sure how much all of you watched Overwatch. That is a definitive advantage. To choose to defend first on a hybrid map, success is spelled out, and you get to pick what map you go to. UCSC cap with 3 minutes left in the time bank, and then full hold, not a full hold, they got a tick, but ultimately a full hold to Boise State. What now, Infernosis? What now?
Well, Assault, I guess, was what's next. And while that is dreaded, it's that 2 CP that everyone really, really hates. I mean, that's just 2 control points, which Santa Cruz won. And Boise State did a good job in their own. It was very close for control points, but Santa Cruz has been winning fights and staggering exceptionally well, so their defense should look exceedingly hot. It's just a question of whether or not they can cap on the attack, because it is a very difficult thing to not get all the kills quickly. But Santa Cruz, if they bring out Ionic once again on the Ash and have the support of Otters on that Brigitte, they can do it. They managed to get Ionic, I think, 4 kills in like 3 seconds flat at one point in time. You do that once in a much longer game mode like that, then you're basically guaranteed success for that second point, and there's really no way to contest it.
And if there's any, and I mean any single map type that spells out ult economy in the favor of the defending side, if you can win that first fight, it is 2 CP. No matter what they choose, if they can get Ionic those kills, I mean, let's just assume he goes back to the Ash, right? That is a Bob. 4 kills, a good dynamite throughout it, that's 70%. That's 80% to a Bob. That's immediately up fight 2. Everyone else is what, 50, 60 to an ult charge? To an ultimate. That Bob comes out, that by itself stops a fight. Combine it with EMF jumping in on the back line, throwing a bubble on that Bob, and cleaving, who knows what happens, right? You can only assume that this continues to work out for UCSC if they can continue to play at the same level that they are.
Yeah, I mean, this has looked really good. I mean, Boise State, the team that was so expectant of this, to take this in a pretty one-sided affair, and even we called. I'm going to call you out here because, like I said, you're completely different off camera. You know, we had stated that we were pretty expectant. I agreed with you that hybrid was more than likely going to go in Boise's favor, and that was just a critical analysis of what we had managed to notice and what we know as an Overwatch team and casting Overwatch. Typically, a team controls very split, and hybrid isn't. Like
Exactly, and I'll at myself. I will go into depth further of what you're saying. We got off cam and we said, listen, Boise State's just crazy, controls mechanical skill. They get the free fights on point. This goes 3-0 Boise. Maybe UCSC gets another look at control. I'll at myself. I'm dead wrong. UCSC popping off, and we officially, at this point now, even though they're down 2-0, after seeing a hybrid, UCSC not only has a real shot at this, but they're looking better right now. Better than we saw them in Week 6, and dare I say, better than Boise State right now.
Oh, by far. I mean, that was a very lopsided affair for Boise. Questions, I stated this, it's a big thing I like to say. There are questions that need to be answered, and there are way more questions than answers to be had for Boise. something went wrong. Something went wrong, and it did not work. They did not change anything of what was happening. They just couldn't adjust. They couldn't adapt. They won one team fight, and it was a good team fight. I'll give them that. But the returning player of having assistance to bring your tracer to recontest the point, and they recontested point, lived long enough so that when they rewound, they were back onto the point to continue contesting. It gave time for your team to come through, and not only did they continue to live on the points, they managed to save it, get the kills, and completely hold it. But we're going to be jumping over to the booth real fast. We're going to have that between map 2 and map 3. Be there for a few short moments, and we'll be ready to jump back into map 3. My name's Infernos, joined here by Unicorn, and we'll be right back after booth talk.
How's it going, everybody? 2 are in the books here in match number 2. UC Santa Cruz has a 2-0 lead over Boise State. Jacob, you were paying a little bit better attention than I was there. I had a student walk into my office I had to deal with. Why don't you go ahead and break down map number 2 for us?
Yeah, to be honest, I'll be honest with people. We've been dealing with some stuff behind the scenes here on this side, so I haven't been able to watch as much of the stream as I would have liked. Quite frankly, it's been on my secondary screen while we've been dealing with some situations, conversations internally about things. There's a lot of discussion to say that we've dealt with these situations before. We will deal with them again, and it's part of the nature of the beast right now. I shudder to think what will happen going forward as we begin to introduce scholarship pricing and things of that nature. And I'm not saying anything untoward has happened here whatsoever. But I am concerned about that. And I just want to say to our fans, people that are with us tonight, we appreciate your patience. The thing that's the most important for us here at the NECC is making sure that everything is fair to the degree which we control it and can control it and can oversee it. There has been a series of coincidences, I'll say that without any hard evidence, right, that would lead you to say that's odd. That's it, and that's all I'm going to say on that. There's nothing, Noah Amadowitz from our team, who's one of our game managers for Overwatch, has said, that there's a lot of strange occurrences, but there's nothing that would probably send you to jail if you were in a court of law, for example. So UC Santa Cruz, to their credit, they have played great. They have played outstanding. They've won the first 2 maps. They have a 2-0 lead in this series. That's what I'll say. And I think that, Jim, as we continue to grow, as we continue to develop, I'm really proud of the way our team has investigated. I'm really proud of the way that we have delved into these situations. And quite frankly, I'm really proud of the fact that we have so many staff working on this. I think that that's what makes us unique. That's what really separates us, is how many people are investigating different channels, different avenues, battle tags being changed, difference in ranks, things of that nature that are part of the game. We're looking at everything because the last thing we want in any of these situations, and obviously in a championship situation, what we're dealing with here tonight is a behavior that we're not comfortable with, and a behavior that would indicate that something untoward was taking place. So that's what I'm going to say. I'm the commissioner of this conference. I'm extremely proud of what we're doing. We're living in a virtual world. We're not sitting in an arena, unfortunately, where everybody can check in and say, this is me, all that stuff. We're at that place. So, Jim, that's what I'll say at this time, and we'll continue to do our part.
And what I would like to say is that our 2 casters right now, Infernosis and Unicorn, have done an absolutely wonderful job. They were in a position where they had to sit there for about 15 minutes and just talk about anything and everything. They did a wonderful job. And Chase Newcomb jumped on and we gave them a bit of a break, and he did a great job as well. Caleb says we're good to go to map number 3. We're just going to keep it rolling right here. Keep on trucking. Me and Jacob will be back to break down more later. You're going back to Infernosis and Unicorn right now.
And we are back at it once again. I am Unicorn, joined by Infernosis. Appreciate that booth talk. Appreciate the panel breaking down that Hollywood game. And Infernosis, we can't talk about it enough. Crazy series so far. And that's the beauty of the best of 7, is we're still just getting started. Speaking of getting started, hopping into Volskaya. How you feeling about this 2CP here for Boise State?
Well, I'm feeling pretty good. For a 2CP and for a map like Volskaya, it can be a little bit difficult to try and deal with this. I mean, obviously the spawns for this first point are really staggered for a defender. Maybe go for some really quick players to go for it, but that second point, maybe just incrementally jab at your opponent. Maybe just incrementally take it by steps. 1 pip, 2 pip, 3 pips, and you're done. Maybe don't try to go for all 3. Maybe just play safe and take wave-based a little bit too seriously, I guess you could say. I mean, you could full send in that direction and trying to figure out what you want to do, but this is still anyone's game. Control, in terms of base control, has been so split, but in terms of hybrid, it was very one-sided.
Very one-sided indeed, dominant for the side of UCSC. Do we see the same thing on Volskaya 2CP? I can't say definitively that we do. I know once again for the attacking side of Boise State, if they're able to come out, get a pick, like you mentioned, so rough for defensive spawns, you've got to assume they take that team fight, especially a team as talented as this will capitalize on that 5v6 situation. And Infernosis, I'm getting my wish. Goblin is in on the Sombra. I can see the Sombra gameplay, and the fight is breaking out nice and fast as they want to move right to point here.
Yeah, they're going to do a very good job of taking a step forward. Boise is just trying to contest as much as they can. They'll find EMF early on. That's going to be devastating. Narrowly avoiding getting knocked off. They will eventually be forced to take another step backwards, but it's seemingly going completely inside of Boise's favor. Ionic does get 1 pick in favor. Moises is able to demac, but it doesn't seem to matter because Goblin finds Ionic. And that iconic player of the Ash out for the count. Boise has swung in swinging, and I said that if you play a very quick team lineup like Tracers and Sombras aplenty, then you're more than likely going to be able to contest this objective and take it a little bit quicker, and that's exactly what Boise has done down to a T.
The retake looks like it might be here in an attempt for UCSC, though. EMF is going to be hacked and immediately fall. The visor does come out from Snozlar in an attempt to hold. Does find one with it, trying to find another. Looks like he will find Moira. Ace, not there with the fade. This might be going back on the side of UCSC.
Oh my goodness, it is going to do just that. They're able to clean it up in spectacular fashion. A complete repeat of first points of Hollywood, where they just gave it for a last few nary moments and ultimately win it out. And EMF's going to go ahead and stagger Goblin as well. If a stock is off the map for some unknown reason, I'm not entirely sure why, but in this current moment, things are a little bit even going through. But this fight, Boise looking to take another aggressive stance forward and contest just as quick as they did the time previously.
Comes at the back of that support being able to sustain themselves, and EMF immediately doesn't get the hack off. The EMP has to come out just to stop EMF from being able to get that value. Double hacked now is that Winston, the life of a main tank. Am I right, Infernosis? Just the double hack, not able to play the video game is EMF. But once again, UCSC holding for now, and the fight's slow, but still happening for the side of Boise. They want to jump back in here. Bubble's gone. I'd assume they want to find the self-destruct as soon as Kel can find his way around those tires.
This kind of just incrementally goes in favor of Santa Cruz, however. They were able to find picks and Boise was not, which just means that their ults are charging quicker. They're dealing more damage, more influential, more impactful damage, which leads to them getting their ultimates a little bit quicker. And Ionic has that high noon available, has now stepped up to the high ground, can really pop it and make a game-changer difference in this next fight. Already getting some tag team damage on the Plato, hoping to maybe secure an early pick off top as well. They've got to make a rotation the other direction of the side high ground, but a very aggressive Monkey and EMF as they primal rage through. They're trying to rotate back around. Boise still attempting to contest. They're not going to hop onto the point just yet. It hasn't worked for them since. They've not been able to hold off against. High Noon comes through. It's going to be walled off and bubbled and narrowly avoids it as they have to roll away. But here comes a redo of that Diva Bomb. But it's going to be Snozlar attempting the Soldier Visor and paying the price.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you see here, Walk and friends are able to make their way onto point. Walk sustaining. EMF does get the nano. Is it enough to take down a large Bengal? So low, he finally does. Once again, UCSC find the picks. ASU does finally find EMF. Maybe, just maybe it's enough this time, but this is what it's been all about. Those supports and the sustainability and the survivability they've had coming back to point has been the difference maker. A last fight situation, finally, Guac and friends from Boise State are able to break it down, take Volskaya point A. But as we look at these next fights, I want to pay attention to these supports from the side of UCSC through this EMP. It's their survivability, their ability to sustain and stay on point long enough for those tanks to get back that has allowed this defense to continue for as long as it has.
You gotta have so much trust in your healers to be able to maintain you when you're not able to step away, not able to bubble up, not able to escape. That's exactly what EMF is unable to do. Can't get away. Otters will be knocked off the map by Large Bagel. Guac's just contesting the objective. Not much more they can do. They can just hold left click and bounce. As Plato finds Ionic. Plato connects to a second of a sock. They're hunting, and it's looking like Boise will take it in a spectacular fashion. We may be able to see a contest in the last few moments of this pimp like we did on point 1, but EMF dies forward, has to primal rage up, not going to afford to let themselves get hacked once again. Now hacked as they have been unable to damage it off, but he hops off just so slightly, and there's no way to play against it. Boise, after struggling on the first point, will not struggle on the second.
They definitely don't, and it comes off the back of that hack, like you mentioned. EMF trying to dodge it for as long as he could. However, the hack comes through, and then that stops him from being able to jump back onto point as he shimmied to the right to try and avoid some of that damage. Unable to use that Winston lead back on point, trying to stall as his team, in fact, the rest of his team, was also being primaled by Guac back into their spawn. So, thanks to Guac, thanks to that hack onto EMF, you do see Boise State come in with a very respectable 2.5 minutes on the clock as they move to now defend Volskaya, and this is what it comes down to, Infernosis. They prove that they can turn it around, come back and attack successfully after a very, very rough hybrid of Hollywood. Can they defend it without getting snowballed like they did?
This is going to be a difficult one to say the least. I think that Santa Cruz has a really good chance here of just getting themselves one pick early on like they've been able to consistently do, and then just to snowball out Boise. If we can see EMF dive consistently with a little bit of support from Moses as they go forward, they've done such a good job of keeping EMF and Vasok at such a healthy status throughout this match. It's just a matter of corners and angles and these rooftops. Will the line of fire, will that line of sight be available for Moses to keep EMF in there, or will EMF just overextend by a few centimeters and be unable to be healed and eventually be felled? It's really going to come down to this tank differential with that support side of line of sight if they want any chance of contesting this point.
And I love the Goblin Sombra again. When you see it on defense, I think the name of the game is going to be to continue to hack EMF, and then Guac's going to jump in on that back line. EMF's not going to be able to jump back and help his team to peel backwards as he's hacked. You see it come through now. Unable to get out of that fight, gets absolutely destroyed from the damage that is Boise State, immediately finding 3 picks there. And Infernosis, just like David and Goliath, we've mentioned it 100 times, now the ult economy is in the favor of Boise State. Now it's set for them to be able to defend for the next 3.5 minutes with little to no adversity, as long as they can feather these ultimates, get these tempo ultimates in the right fashion at the right times. And it's going to come off the back of this Guac Goblin combo that is this Winston Sombra. Hack EMF as he jumps in, and then Guac jumps back into your backline, disables the heals onto EMF. EMF's able to, unable to jump back off the back of that hack from Goblin. It's just gravy from there on out. But Guac falls first.
EMF gets stuck as well. Plato will be able to secure off the thing. As Snozar will toss theirs. It's not going to make a difference as Coalescence was dropped down by Asu. Goblin has just been such a pivotal person, not just in getting kills as they had managed to find Otters, but the ability to hack out EMF and force them into a total inability to escape with their life. Santa Cruz is just, there's nothing they're able to do. They may have to switch up a little bit more than they're comfortable doing so. A High Noon narrowly ready at 98%, and it's not far behind for that Graviton Surge. EMF maybe with the Primal Rage off once if they get that first dive, but this is going to be a very impactful next fight because the ultimates are favoring Santa Cruz for the first time in a long time. Here comes the EMP from Goblin. High Noon now dropped from Ionic. They've got so much information. Waits for the defensive barrier to go down, but EMF and Snozar find the first 2. Kel removed from Mech as EMF will clean up the kill, and Snozar finds their own. A Nary team wipe and a launch shot sleeve. Where was that coming from? Goblin will get away for a couple seconds, but will eventually be killed off in a very successful take for Santa Cruz.
Moses flexing his muscles there, saving UCSC a few more seconds of Sombra stall as Goblin gets taken out on the back of a huge sleep dart. And now, Ultimate Economy definitely in the favor of Boise State here, but look at what is online for UCSC. This rally has been their saving grace so many times. However, Boise State will throw ults early, force out that bubble from EMF, but Snozlar finds a pick onto the DMEC Diva through that self-destruct, and now this attack is huge for them.
Yeah, I mean, you obviously see the Sock just running in, contesting. A hack attempted to go through, but it'll be denied. Quad just popped the Primal Rage, stunned and forced into a good position. Rockets from the Sock connecting, and now a difficult position to be in as EMF has dropped in their own Primal. What is Snozlar's aim? Just will not be felled, cannot miss their shots, and is completely cutting them off as they attempt to step out of their own spawn. A High Noon drops as well, making sight just even more dangerous, finding only Bagel. Kel just narrowly avoids getting shot first, but Ionic will not miss the second. And it's still just Santa Cruz in the feed. They're going to get this one with probably about 3 minutes on the clock, if not more, because Boise is just snowballed and cannot find a very substantial position to contest this objective.
It's so clean in front of the synergy is so clean from UCSC. The translocator back to spawn from Goblin. Snozlar reads the play, comes back to find a 40 health Sombra trying to come back and get heals. Such a huge read on that translocator. Jump back to Ionic. He finds the High Noon onto a large Bagel who's there. That's their contest, right? That's who they need to live for the next 10 or 15 seconds. Combine that with the flashbang headshot combo onto Kel, who was about 90% back to his mech in that baby diva form. So clean from the DPS of UCSC, wraps that up with an additional minute compared to Boise State, and that is absolutely crucial when you talk about 2CP, especially when you talk about such a difficult point 2 that is Volskaya Industries.
Absolutely. I mean, this is a difficult map. All of Assault is difficult. I mean, let's be honest here.
Yeah.
2CP is dreaded for a reason, right? It's not liked. It's not well liked whatsoever. I personally don't mind it because I don't play competitively, right? So I get to casually just, play around and do whatever I want to do, and it's a good Widowmaker map because there's some trick shot spots. It's not actually good for Widow. She kind of stinks here, but trick shots aplenty, and I may not go for those often because I miss 90% of them, but sometimes I get lucky and I go for them and I put them in a clip and I get a little montage of about 3 clips for a year, and that's what I have to show for it. But these teams have a lot to show for with only 2 minutes on average to push forward. Boise, they're going to have to get aggressive and actually manage to win these early fights. They only had 23 seconds to the clock last time when they were able to take this first point, and we obviously saw Santa Cruz do a better job of it, but Boise's going to have to do much better than they previously did.
They're definitely going to have to. They find themselves on attack here. I want to keep an eye on Goblin because right now he's being read like a book from Snozlar on this Tracer. Is he able to find that space? Does finally get the hack onto EMF and immediately falls, gets booped by Kel, unable to jump back up off the hack again, Infernosis.
This is bad. You've lost Snozlar, you've lost EMF. You've just got to hope Fasok can get the heals, and they're not getting it now. DMEX. Moses was not able to peek it in time, too wary for their own life. It looks like Boise will be able to take this point. They're just staggering more and more, finding every kill they can. Now officially diving the high ground and finding every single person. It does not seem to be possible for the UCSC side to contest this point. So they're going to have to play for the second one. Maybe they bring Snozlar in. They're going to reverse it back, rewind after getting a couple of ticks of damage. They're going to be at that 92% for the ultimate and hoping to maybe catch 1 or 2 players off guard. They only have a minute and 15 seconds they have to hold.
And they need to play this fight fast. They know ult economy's in their favor. They just need to get on point and start throwing them. The pulse bomb comes out. Kel, good DM to save Guak's life there, as now he's going to be sustained. Plato does have the pulse bomb, and if you've been impressed with Snozlar's Tracer, your jaw's going to drop just as far when you watch Plato. He's absolutely a menace on this. Sticks the High Noon and denies it, Infernosis.
This is not a good position to be in. They've managed to pick 2 frags though for a UCSC fan, but now they're still struggling to actually contest the objective. Kel's having to take a step back. Snozlar finds Plato. EMF and Otters cleans up Aetsu and Guak. And now it will, in fact, be Kel completely resubstantiating themselves backwards, not wanting to contest any further. And you've got Snozlar at that 70% ult margin. You've got a rally from Otters at 95. I mean, you can have this nano boost come through. You could Diva Bomb up. EMF will get Primal Rage by the end of this fight, I'm sure of it. But you've got to deal with a Primal Rage from Guak, and you've got to deal with a Diva Bomb from Kel that can clear the site so quickly.
And if I'm the coach here, I think you've read the situation perfectly. You throw the nano onto EMF, that sustains as a mini primal for the time being. Then primal comes in just to contest for that last second. That's exactly what you see so far. He'll dial it back to point. The EMP bomb combo is going to come through. Take me back to my platinum games, but doesn't find anything. But Kel finds the remake kill into Snozlong.
That's devastating when it goes through, but here's the rally from Otters. It will dissipate eventually, but Guatch dropped their Primal Rage. Anti in the process, not able to be slapped, but EMF finds their own effect until they go with their own Primal Rage. And the Stock D-Max now having to be forced to fight out. They're going to leave him out. Snozlar back to the fight, finds Goblin. EMF finds their opposing Winston of Guac, and they're continuing to contest, and they're stopping them from playing this one going forward. Plato drops another pulse. It will not kill, and it will not be able to be contested. Santa Cruz will stop the second point, but they weren't able to stop the first. But Santa Cruz looked better on their attack than Boise did, so this might bode well for them. It's all going to come down to what Boise can change to make it work.
And here's what's difficult for Boise Infernosis, is that you went into point 2 and what you needed was a tick, right? You needed it to be winnable, because now if they drop first point, the most they can hope for is a draw. They had to get that first pick on point 2 to make this a winnable game if they drop first point. First point, in my opinion, is the easier of the two to take by far. So now, for the next 3 minutes, a larger time bank, they have to full hold point 1 in order to avoid a draw, or even worse, a 3-0 to the side of UCSC, making this a reverse sweep, a must for a reverse sweep for the side of Boise State.
Absolutely, and another big thing to keep in mind, if it does go through the draw, I think we do play an 8th map if it does manage to tie back, and it becomes Control again, if I remember correctly. So we'll see Control, which we've already seen Santa Cruz win. So maybe that was a fluke. Maybe they won that one off of luck and just managing to outlast Boise and forcing them to kind of a game of, I think the term is, my brain, I can't remember the word. A total disregard for the word.
Describe it to me. What are you going for?
Wasting time, whoever, attrition, a battle of attrition, that's what the word I was going for. It becomes a battle of attrition and they just seemingly outlast Boise and they weren't able to contest, but a Bastion from Goblin, they're really pulling on all shot. This is going to be interesting to see whether or not Santa Cruz can contest this. This is going to be a difficult dive. EMF may have found their maker.
Yeah, this is actually good news for UCSC. This is an easy comp to dive. However, when it's not Boise State, usually it's easy to disrupt that double shield. Dive exists by thriving in chaos. Not doing a good job at it so far, but with these dive comps, you want to jump in, force the team to separate, and take your isolated 1v1s. But against a team like Boise State, they're going to be so tightly fit with this double shield that it's going to be hard to disrupt them. They're going to rely on EMF to do so, but from what we've seen so far, they've got to get up to that double shield first. That first fight was a definitive win for the side of Boise State, and look at the ults for the side of UCSC. Nothing was built off of that. The most that we see ult charge-wise was Moses trying to keep people up from Goblin's Bastion.
And they've done a pretty good job of that the entire game, but a Bastion is just going to outdo that damage 10 times out of 10. I mean, especially when you're facing a team like Boise. But they're switching up. They're going for a Hanzo to help break shields. They've got an Ash to maybe pick up a player that is not necessarily behind the shield, hoping for an early pick. Maybe Ionic bringing that back will be enough. But it's going to be whether or not these rotations of the shields will actually amount to anything. Hanzo player Snozlar gets caught out by the Dynamite. Will be able to be spotted out through a wall. Plato takes a lick of damage in the process against Ionic, but seemingly is able to escape with their life as Asu is using that Mercy pocket to full advantage. But 97% for Goblin and the ult, 93% for Plato. A Bob could come through as well. Moses has the boost. They could go for a full stint here, but now here's the dive going forward. Plato in a bad position, dropping Bob out of the site just to play with it. Trying to get some tag team damage going off. Goblin's dropped the tank, is able to jump up on top, take the high ground, find Otters. Tries to go below, but Moses gets asleep and Snozlar will clean up. Moses contesting Plato in a bad position, and they win the fight because Snozlar assists. This is going to Santa Cruz. It's just Orisa trying to contest, and it's not looking to go their way.
And look at exactly what we talked about in Infernosis. You dive that double shield and watch how it falls apart. Plato had to coach gun away, throw the bomb onto point and try to make it to the mega health pack. Isn't able to do so. That forces Goblin by himself. Has to come with a hero play with that tank ultimate of Bastion. Able to find one, but not able to clean up Moses. And then it's all said and done from there. EMF and Vasak able to clean up Ionic, and Snozlar contributing as well. And now we're in a draw situation. Quite literally, no longer winnable for the side of Boise State. They can only hope for a draw here, and then they've still got to get the next 4 after this.
Absolutely, and this is a bad situation being in. You see that the Flux goes down, 2 damage boosting utilities. They're going to try and force in this one up, but he's got Gravitic Flux as well, but EMF finds their first kill. Immortality field in Bongo's out for the count. Ace will revive back Bagel, but EMF is continuing the spree. They find Block now with no one really there to contest. Kel's kind of forced in a bad position. Gravitic Flux did not find the impact they were initially anticipating. A Dragon Strike comes through as well, dealing a massive amount of damage, but they won't be able to step in time. Ace removed by Otters, but the bomb player has found 2. Plato finding success. Goblin gets a pulse bomb kill. They're trying to contest at this point in time, but it's not going to be enough. This is looking like it's going to be a draw. Boise State were able to stop it just slightly, but what a phenomenal map.
These maps, Infernosis, these games, these DPS in these clutch moments are taking over. Plato right there comes in with the bob of his life, throws it into the perfect corner, and then Goblin cleans up with a pulse bomb, then the 1-clip melee combo onto Kel. It's so clean. It's so clean to get the draw there. You wish you could have done it first point, but Boise State is able finally to hold a map, take the draw. We're going to go to map 4, 201, still on the side of UCSC.
Absolutely, and I'm going to make a little bit of a throwback there after watching that play of the game. Throwback to week 1, where I said something stupid. Monkey Zap Gun really coming out in full force right there. Huge monkey zap gun right there. Huge Zapsters. I mean, they're finding a lot of success and doing a very good job of it. But, you know, we're going to have to head to a new map. We're going to have to see how it fares out. This one obviously not going to be Assault. And I think it is, my brain right now. Is it Escort, I believe? We're going to have to see Escort.
Let's take a look. Let's find out together. Let's scroll up and get a look here. We're going...
It's Escort, right?
We're going to Escort, question mark?
I'm pretty sure. Yep, it goes Control, Hybrid, Assault, Escort, Control, Hybrid, Escort, Control. So that's my current knowledge. So we're going to have to deal with Escort, and this is one where we saw Santa Cruz completely one-sidedly thrash. They were unstoppable. They were not stopped on Hollywood. Of course, we never got to see Boise on control on Escort. We never got to see their payload because they couldn't get control point on the hybrid map. So they don't got to deal with a control point, which might bode well for them because apparently they have been struggling since map 1 to get anything going for them in regards to it. But I think Santa Cruz is showing us a new team. They're showing us something different, and we're guaranteed at minimum a game 5 because of that draw.
Yeah, that draw automatically makes this harder for Boise because now, are you in a reverse sweep situation? Do you lose this one and then have to come back and win another 4 after you've proven that control's hard? You absolutely got decimated on hybrid. You could only draw Volskaya, a 2 CP. So we're working up, right? I mean, it's looking better for Boise State, but how do they turn this around? And Infernosis, where is the dominance? Where is the oppression that we saw during the entire regular and postseason? I can't say it's gone. We see how well they're playing, but man, is UCSC on fire right now.
Yeah, I've gotten a little bit of insight. They had stated that they were super fearful of EMF and Moses, and I think we've seen that this entire time, and I think they need to add a new person to it. I think they need to add everyone to it, because I think they've been unpleasantly surprised by how well Vasak has been supporting. When Vasak's playing Zarya, it is so impossible to defend against it, because Vasak is one of the best, one of the best Zaryas I've seen in terms of building charge and maintaining it. They playing so out of their minds. Their ability to track and trace, out of their minds. They're able to take Bagel out for the count every single time in a one-on-one. They just will not miss any of that trace. And then on top of that, continuing forward, Ionic on Ashe, it just doesn't miss. Ionic has been a phenomenal player. Snoslaw on the Tracer misses, but completely just barrel stuffs anyone that steps out of their spawn. We saw that on that second CP on their attack. Just barrel stuffed. That's all they did. They just ran into their own spawn as they attempted to run out and just one spritzed them away. And it doesn't end in their favor. And it's been so good, so throughout. And then it's just more and more damage to be dealt on, because then there's Otters, who had 76% kill participation on Hollywood, was a monster in assistance with Snoslar. It just doesn't want to work out. But we're heading to Gibraltar as our escort map. This is going to be a lot of high ground that has to be held. Maybe Boise brings back out that Bastion for at least this first point.
And that's what worries me, right? We've seen the crazy Winston that is EMF. Guac does not get the luxury of a Reinhardt here. You can. Does it work as well as the Winston? Absolutely not. That high ground contention is what you need on Watchpoint Gibraltar. I think we have to see it from the side of Boise State. I think you continue, at least in my opinion, to run that Sombra and try and deal with EMF. If you were worried about EMF and Moses, look at what Snozlar's doing. Look at what Ionic is doing on their DPS. Like you mentioned, Otters, as slippery as can be. On the Mercy, so hard to kill. On the Brigida, just an extra tank in your face at that point with these rallies, with the sustain that she brings. Nerf the character, all I'm saying. But with what UCSC has brought to the table, Boise State Blue absolutely 100% cannot run Ryan here, in my opinion. I don't think they can. EMF is not going to allow them to not contest high ground and them not pay for it immediately.
Absolutely. I mean, they had stated this, if they were going to see UCSC bring out the brawl, then they were going to bring out a better brawl. And they kind of did that on map 1, and then EMF says, okay, I'm just going to go Winston, and it works. And it does. It did exactly that. It worked, and it continued to work, and it has continued to work since then. But I want you to, we're going to go back to the notes that I was given from Boise. 72% fight win rate. Win rate?
A win rate.
Watchpoint Bawator. I mean,
a win rate.
They have a 72% fight win rate on Watchpoint, and they have a good contention of how much Santa Cruz likes to bring this out. It's a lower map for them in terms of their favor, but this is the #1 pick of Boise for this objective for Escort. So this not being banned out bodes extremely well for them. And if they lose here, I think that might be just a giant nail in the coffin for mentality, for confidence. It's just going to just be like, okay, we can't even win in our best maps. What are we supposed to do on other maps?
And how crazy is that just to say out loud? In Boise, a nail in Boise State's coffin? The people who have been manufacturing coffins for the entire regular and postseason?
Absolutely.
They're the leading coffin manufacturer. They've made a profit
they
off
put
of
corners in business.
Yeah. I mean, they've got a monopoly on coffins, and now one is being made for them already. And look at how quick they are falling.
I mean, they literally don't even have a single person left. It's about to be a team kill. Goblin's about to be taken out. This is, I mean, there's no words.
And so this is what I was gonna say when you're mentioning win rate percentage for fights. Is it even fair to mention those anymore? I mean,
No.
do you just throw those out the window against this UCSC team? Because it's like we said, it's not the Week 6 team. This is a different breed than anything they have faced so far.
They have grown beyond basic terms. This Boise team, who has, I think, what we say, 33 wins and 6 losses, is looking down the gun barrel of a 7th loss. And this is a team that it can put a loss on a team that has 33 wins in one single semester season. That is insane to think about, and it's exactly what's happening. Boise has to find something to work, and literally nothing is working out for them. They just are getting thrashed by Santa Cruz on every single turn. Every fight is going in their favor. Stick comes out from Snozlar, just clean, pristine, and they're going to continue that going forward. A 3K as they fight, about to make it a 4K, but Vasok will clean it off instead. UCSC is looking unstoppable right now.
Yeah, and that's kind of the beauty with this Winston Diva comp, right? Is you bait the payload. You allow the progression to happen until the picks from Snozlar in the back, until Ionic can find the good dynamite, then you dive in. You bait that payload progression. You make it look like they're really creating some space and forcing the objective, then all of a sudden the collapse is there. Same thing's going to happen right now. Plato's going to move forward. The rest of this double bubble comp from the side of Boise is going to move forward. Goblin does find a huge stick onto Arders, though. He's going to make his way to the back line, but a clean sleep headshot from the Ionic Moses combo there.
Yeah, that's a devastating one to go through. Snozlar is back into the fight now. Plato's going to take one, but the Bob of Plato takes a return, and Guac's going to die this backline. They're going to toss their own Bob into the process. Ionic hoping to maybe find impact, but Guac is trapped. Body blocked by Vasok. That is one of the highest IQ plays I have seen in this entire league so far. EMF with the primal range goes in and finds Pagel, assisted by Moses and Vasok to find Asu and Kel, and it's once again UCSC on a nigh unstoppable rampage. Every single fight has gone in their favor. They lose one, but they find 3. I mean, Boise State, they've got to change something, and at this point, I think they might just have to change everything.
You know, I'll give a soft little ego boost to myself here. I've picked 4400 Infernosis. I have never seen a Diva do that. That was huge brain play from the side of the stock there. I don't know why Guac didn't primal. He had both of those players so low. Maybe the fight was already over in comms, even though no picks had happened yet. I'm confused why he didn't primal, but what a huge play there. He'll do it again. Scared, he almost finds himself in the same situation, Infernosis.
He doesn't step
almost
through the door.
there. But now he'll pop the primal, move forward onto this back line, trying to bobble Moses around. Moses falls to about 4 HP if you can look at the top left at it, not being healed yet. Finally able to get the sustain from this Inspire and the rally that Honors brings to the table. And the huge eat from the Starhorn to grab.
Eat up, UCSC! They're continuing to just be unstoppable right now. I mean, it is impossible to stay contained. This team is just not losing fights, and even when they are, they're still looking phenomenal when they do it. It's looking like they just might lose this one off of Plato, giving them a little bit of a backpack carry, finding 3. Oh my goodness.
3.5 minutes, Infernosis, into overtime. They finally cap point A of Gibraltar in this escort phase. They'll move inside to the jet now. High ground even a bigger factor here as you move to point 2. Vasak throwing the wave out. They're sharing some friendly salutations here. Almost a Vasak does have a self-destruct online. Will move to high ground and begin to deny that space from Boise State. And it's this high ground contest that's so vital. That bomb's gonna come out as soon as that bubble's gone. Doesn't find anybody. Does find Plato. That's gonna stop the fight in the tracks for Boise State.
That is a devastating one to go through for Sockfire and Plato. They're going to full commit forward. A rally does come out from Asu. Maybe a little bit of assistance as Snozlar. Pulse Bomb will go off. Kel's now going to be just narrowly being avoided being demaxed and then will eventually be bubbled around here by EMF. Just knocked about. Point is just not being able to go as far as they initially wanted to do. Snozlar is just charging out. They're already back at 70% right now for this ultimate. There's not much they can do. Guac is prime range to find Otters. Full committing now as they're attempting to bobble out EMF as well, but they're trying to escape with their life. EMF is just narrowly getting body blocked as well. It's a repeat, but it's not Vasak this time around.
Goblin throws out the dude stopped in chat after he's absolutely beaten into a corner as well and taken out. However, Boise State now 2 meters away. Snozlar does find a pick onto Plato. The DPS isn't there. Ionic's going to throw the bomb. It doesn't quite hit point. No, I'm sorry, does hit payload and is going to be able to sustain for now for the defense. EMF finds Asu. No support there for the side of Brigida for Boise State. The defense is there to clean it up with only 1.5 meters left. Boise State will have to look at it all the way back from the spawn door as they've got about maybe one fight and some staggers left into point 2 here.
This does not bode well. You're going to have to rely on Plato. But wait, Goblins brought out Widowmaker. They're hoping to bring out the double sniper combination. They do have a very long line of fire, line of sight that they can aim down, but it's looking like UCSC is not going to give them the opportunity. Only one actually on payload. Just stopping it if they decide to rush. The rest sitting inside jets, avoiding eyesights, but a boost does come through. Bagel onto Guac, and a bomb will be dropped down as well to the payload. They'll be forced to drop down because it's going to contest forward, but EMF finds 2 on top of Asu and Goblin, and we'll go back to the objective to recontest this payload. Bomb just destroying the shield of Otters, but Vasak destroying the hopes of Plato. Goblins having to switch to Echo, and I know that Goblins good at Echo, but I don't think they're going to make it back in time. They're trying to contest. Kel pushes it forward to 3 meters, but now D-met, D-liked, and almost no chance of the return.
Kel does find a pick. The Guac Primal Rage is there to try and sustain. No 7th player of Bob available to continue the contest, though. Asu does find a pick, but EMF trades out the main tank. The MTD being thrown in chat as Plato does find the uppercut onto Otters. This is looking like it's crazy attack, but Vasak finds Plato as well. The defense is still there. Spawn advantage for the side of the defense right now. How long can Snozlar live? He does fall. Finally, man, overtime on both points. Boise State moves this into last phase. Otters will jump off the map knowing how bad the staggers can be for the defensive side. We're going to see point 3 by the skin of Boise State's teeth. This is difficult here. We do have a brief pause. However, pause is called and we'll have to determine what the reason is. Infernosis, this is still first round and this is crazy.
Yeah, at this point in time, I don't want to say it's anyone's game because right now, Boise State are narrowly surviving. I mean, UCSC have done just a phenomenal job of just contesting in every objective. I think it's a problem for them to try and continue to play. EMF is apparently trapped in spawn and can't pick a character. It is having
Tragic.
to Alt F4 to rejoin back in. I'm sure that the Boise State side saying there's punishment for picking up Hamster, but I mean, Hamster's not even that good anymore. I mean, that nerf did come through. You and I both agree, probably well deserved, because Ham was
Still
very
great though.
annoying.
Still a crazy hero.
Yeah, still really good. Same thing with Sigma. Sigma's still really good in the right composition, but has definitely deserved their nerfs across their lifeline. But I think someone who deserves a nerf right now, Rhines. I mean, the meta for Brawl is just so reliant on Reinhardt. It feels a little bit lopsided.
Yeah, it's I think the majority of the Overwatch community would disagree. If you throw any nerfs at Ryan, it's really easy to see him fall down because of how strong Dive can be. I mean, Winston's still coming off the back of a bunch of buffs. I mean, Winston gets his buffs, and if you nerf Ryan at all, 85 damage a swing is a lot. The armor nerf hit him pretty hard, and people are already feeling it. But with the meta, at least in comp, Overwatch League, you see some crazy stuff because they're nutty players. But in comp, you see a lot of the Ryan Zarya, May McCree, maybe Ryan Diva, May McCree, and the Lucio Bap. That brawl comp is not only so fun to play, I think it's healthy for Overwatch because it allows for a variety of different heroes. And if you nerf Ryan, you start to see a lot less of that. But right now, he is pretty strong, I'll say that, but I think he's just up to par with the majority of the front line that is Overwatch right now. A lot of those tanks are in a very good place, and most I can say is thank God Goats is not still an option, because man, would that be crazy right now.
Well, do you think
Here's
maybe
the
a
unbox.
nerf to Lucio instead, maybe, to like kind of nerf out the Brawl a little bit more? Because like Reinhardt, if he takes a hit, it can be pretty bad. But the fact that Brawl is 85% of comps when it comes to mainline control or anything with a control points, right? I mean, we're not seeing that with UCSC, but for most teams you typically do.
Yeah.
Mainly to see a couple small adjustments to try and make it a little bit more even across the stand.
Potentially. Back in it though. Immediately Ionic throws that bomb. I was about to say that needs to be thrown pretty quickly here. Goblin back on the Echo here does find the focusing beam, but Snozlar and Ionic are trading ultimate kills as that bomb was thrown. Very, very clear fight in the favor of UCSC as they take that defensive hold, and it's crazy because we're coming off of a pause, so we should be more hyped here, but we got to remember this is last fight here. Boise State only have 30 seconds left. This is the last look at it they'll see. This has to be a huge, and I mean huge, duplicate out of Goblin right here.
I mean, it's got to be that or it's going to be nothing, and I think they're going to go for the Winston. It's more than likely to play typically when you see it. They're out of the back line right
Take
now.
the Ash.
They're going to turn into Ash and attempt to contest, but being forced back. Goblin now at 17 HP, trying to get some damage off, but it's only going to attack Snozlar with that the Dynamite, but they're going to rewind back up. EMF is going to be boosted out from Moses. Diving in is doing so much damage with the Tesla cannon. That's looking like the nail in the coffin. The bomb will be tossed out yet again from, I believe, Goblin at that point. He was able to save off, but it just does not matter. UCSC will stop it eventually, despite the 2 overtime attempts from Boise State to make it to this point.
A little over halfway for the side of Boise State there on point 3. Definitely not as bad as it could have been after we saw those 2 overtime pickups for their attack that were close, to say the least. A bit of a interesting duplicate there for the side of Goblin. I think maybe a call from the shot caller there to take that Ash, maybe try and keep that high ground and get the Bob off, but I think the safer pick is to take EMF's Winston. That way you have Primal Rage to stall on point there. That allows, if the fight doesn't go in your favor, allows that front line of yours to come back and continue that stall, and hopefully shift the original fight in your favor instead of having to rely on those staggers. But takes the Ash, doesn't get a ton of value, does end up getting the Bob off, but doesn't have that same impact that I feel a Winston would have. Speaking of impact, we do have the Goblin Walk combo back on this Sombra, this time a Reinhardt instead of that Winston, but I'd love to see some EMP shatters here.
Yeah, I have to agree. Goblin's done a good job on the Sombra previously, really saved them and gave them any chance of actually contesting whatsoever in Vizcaya. And now you've kind of have to rely on that. And I think if UCSC can just kind of get on a roll like they're capable of doing so, it might not bode very well for them. Snozlar on the A phenomenal Symmetra they've been doing. They're actually going to switch it up entirely. A full reset. Vasok and EMF now. They're going in. They're going to go for a brawl comp, switching aggressively. Yeah, they saw what they needed to see, and now they're going to full send up and forward into it. They're going to try and contest this brawl composition, now trapping into that May wall and getting behind. This is exactly where they want Boise to be, and they're trying to act offense, but EMF extremely low, forced to use the Immortality Field to stay alive. Guac will lose the fight first, though, because they couldn't clear the Immortality Field in time, and a Ionic will kill theirs first. The stock in a low position, about to be DMAC, but narrowly staying alive in the process. Noslar just holding left click. The devil themselves just making it so difficult to do anything they can, and they're going to win this fight. They just got more and more picks and are continuing to stagger this Boise State side.
It's a cold day in Gibraltar, Infernosis, and we called it. I mean, we had just talked about what was popular in comp, and that is the Rhine, D.Va, May, McCree, Lucio back, and UCSC are in full force with it. They are running this comp perfectly. A little bit of a change that they don't have the frontline damage, Boise State, with that Sombra instead of the McCree, but those EMPs hopefully can pay off as they go to move forward here and try and defend this street space, and they've got to do it with time. EMP Shatter does come out and land, though. The entirety of UCSC hacked, but still finding kills.
I mean, Vasok narrowly saving their life. Guac may have gotten the shatter, but it wasn't seemingly enough. Plato goes for the Blizzard, but it doesn't even last very long. They've now playing a backward angle, and I mean, this is absolutely insane for Moders and Moses. I don't know how you keep your team alive this well. Maybe Snozzler's wall, maybe the ability for EMF and Vasok to eat that damage. It just doesn't make sense. Through an EMP and a shatter that hits 5 out of 6 of your players, and you live to tell the tale in a one-sided affair.
You live to tell the tale. Build up your amplification matrix, throw it at the perfect time, and it's perfect. They throw the Blizzard on the back of Plato's Maywall so they don't see it come out. Everybody's cold for the side of Boise State, and nothing like Boise State's attack. You see, I'm kind of clean with it though. All right, you know what? That's one singular. As a 27-year-old, I can't do it often because I'm getting too old for it, but that's one unironic sheesh right there. I'll give that one singular unironic sheesh, but that's all I'll do, Infernosis.
Yeah, I mean, I don't want you to hurt your back sheesh a little bit too
you know how it is.
Yeah.
A nail in my coffin, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Yeah, and then as they're already carving the letters into your gravestone, sheesh one too many times really became a problem. But look at this overextension right now from Cal, getting a little bit too far. EMF has dropped the shatter as well, just looking to contest. Being a frontline player, the Maywall will be allowed to be able to do some damage, but EMF now in a difficult position. Immortality Field drops, has the Fire Strike to try and push forward, now misses the charge narrowly, but Snozzlar finds 2, and Ionic will clean up a little bit more. These walls from Snozzlar are absolutely 10,000 IQ. It is this genius by all accounts.
I value my brain as an Overwatch coach and an analyst. To put it as eloquently as I can, man is May stupid. Man Absolutely. Is May just kind of stupid, huh? The utility that hero alone brings in her current state is absolutely insane. She's able to extend that fight and section off the entirety of Boise State there. EMP bomb comes out, not going to find anybody but the Immortality Field. Ionic does clean up the Immortality Field as well, and that allows for Moses and EMF to frag out. Huge play there from Ionic.
Cal ate the Blizzard, but it doesn't matter because they just say, nah, we don't care, we're still pushing. Somehow EMF got their shatter before Guac did, and Guac was at 88%, and now still hasn't gotten it up. Cal's now forced to take a step off. High Noon does come through, but it's not going to matter. The shatter from Guac denied, and EMF will clean up house. Cal attempting to contest 0.85 meters away. There's not really much they can do. Vasok will drop the D.Va bomb to keep them off the last 0.8, and it'll keep them off for the last bit. UCSC wins. They're up 3-0-1. Boise State not only is the first seed in an undefeated team coming into this, they don't even have a single map win. They're struggling. They're a fish out of water.
Their strongest map. I mean, Infernosis, you said it, right? It's their strongest map.
It's not 72%. Only ones closer are control maps.
Well, that's where we're going.
Yep. And they lost one of their control maps, which is one of their best ones. I won't give too much information because the band phase has to come through next, but they lost one of their best control maps.
You could not have said it better. It's their map pick. They're an undefeated team. They find themselves down 0-3 and a pretty lucky draw off the back of a double shield comp that probably shouldn't have worked as long as it did, bought you enough time to hold point 2 barely off some clutch DPS plays, and now you've got a reverse sweep after you have rolled through the regular and postseason with ease. I mean, they probably slept up until 30 minutes before this game. They probably took a nap, just hung out.
I know I did.
Yeah.
I mean,
Well,
I was up till 4 a.m. casting the Valorant finals last night. I only got 2 hours of sleep. I got home and took a 3-hour nap. I was like, this is my one time. I got to prep for this because I knew these games were going to be pretty big, but I didn't expect the first one to be this big. I mean, this is insane.
And it's something that we have to dissect as we take a break. It's something our panel has to dissect. More importantly, Infernosis, it's something that Boise State must dissect in a very short amount of time. We'll see if they can do it, and we'll see if our panel has any insight on how as we jump to them.
And we're back here at the analyst desk, me and Jacob Van Ryn. Santa Cruz, University of California, up 3-0 on Boise State. Technically, there's a draw in there as well, but that won't come into play unless we go to the final map. Jacob, Santa Cruz with a really great defensive play there and really great offensive attacking push on map number 4. What do you think here about this one?
They've been ultra impressive, obviously, and that's testament to them. They've played great tonight. They've been the better side, obviously, throughout. And if you're Boise right now, you got to regroup and see if you can get things straightened out. I mean, this is a dynamite Boise program. It's a dynamite Boise team. I think Infernosis had the fact that they were 34-6 on the year, and they're not playing a subpar competition. I mean,
right.
So I think that's for them. I'm not going to say this one is over. Probably compared to most programs where I'd say, all right, you're down a massive deficit. Chances are slim. I have too much respect for Boise and too much respect for their team. That being said, right now, UC Cruz has just been terrific, and they've made the plays. They made the plays late in each of these maps that have given them the win, and that's been the difference in this championship final so far.
We talked about how good Boise was in the regular season. Do you think maybe there's something to the fact that Santa Cruz came out and just went right at him? If this was a boxing match, Santa Cruz came right out, swung the haymaker in round 1. Do you think maybe that put Boise on their heels a bit here to start out?
A little bit of bullying the bully, right? Bully the bully, whatever that phrase is. And attack them. It's possible. I think that Santa Cruz. Don't take anything away from them. They had a great year as well. I mean, they weren't picked out of a hat to be here.
This is true.
They had a great season. They lost 2 games during the regular season in our highest division. They've obviously gotten to this point with good reason. The thing for them is that playing at this level on this stage shows how good they are, and shows the skill with which they're playing, and it's been impressive to watch throughout tonight. And that's a testament to their ability and their skill and what they've done to get here and why they're just one map away from winning a title.
Yeah, no, they have come in. They've done everything they've wanted to do here, pretty much. And there have been a lot of delays on this one, and I think both sides have shown pretty good mental with all the delays that have been going on. Nobody's we haven't seen any bad Overwatch. Like, we haven't.
Agreed.
We've just seen overly good Overwatch from the side of Santa Cruz. And there have been a couple of maps where I thought Boise had it, and then at the very end, Santa Cruz just turned it around. So yeah, I don't even know what to say anymore. Up to 103 viewers right now, peak right now for Overwatch. 103 viewers. Thank you everybody for sticking around watching this one. We have 2 more full matches to go after this one ends, and this one we don't even know. This one could still go the distance, folks. Boise's a great team. The reverse sweep could be real. We could get the mythical map 8. Who knows? Anything could happen.
Yeah, and we've seen a lot of it. Nothing would surprise us at this point, that's for sure. And I want to say that our next matchup is top seeded CSUDH taking on second seeded and somewhat ironically the defending champions from Northern Essex Community College, which should be a terrific matchup as well. We look forward to that, and then we cap it off with top seeded Fresno State taking on second seeded Carroll in that division. So a lot to go here, a lot of excitement. I would encourage chat to remain positive. That's been a bit of a slippery slope tonight. I think we've banned or paused more people tonight than we have probably the rest of the semester combined, and that's unfortunate. So let's remain positive. Let's cheer for our team. Let's not put other people down. That's what I harp on, regardless of what you think. It reflects on you more than it reflects on anybody else, and that's the thing that's important to remember. Whatever's happening there. So just to implore people to stay positive. We appreciate the passion. We appreciate the comments. We appreciate the love and hate to some degree, right? When you're playing somebody at this level, you want to say, I want to beat them. That's fine. But there's a line you don't want to cross. So I just want to make sure we make that pretty much abundantly clear.
Yeah, I'm with you on that one. It hurts me. We're talking about this last match of the night, and it hurts me because my team wanted to be there. We played so good in the regular season, at least for the first 6 weeks, and then the wheels just fell off for the Peacocks. We're looking at Carroll being in the finals like, man, we know we're better than Carroll. But Carroll's there, and Carroll earned it the hard way. And Fresno was so good all year. I'm looking forward to that last match. I know both those teams, and that's the one that I'm looking forward to. Mr. Producer, are they good to go for map number 5? Okay, so we're gonna go 60 more seconds here, Jacob. So what's what do you got going on this weekend? Anything fun?
I'm just trying to get there. We're taking things day by day. We got another day of championship action tomorrow night. We got Rocket. We got a Rocket League final. Then we're gonna have three Hearthstone finals. And then we're actually going to cap it off with our final Overwatch final. And kudos to Fanshoa and Becker for allowing us to move that. Obviously, we originally planned to have all 5 championship finals tonight, Wednesday night. We wanted to stream them all. They said we will move off and they'll play tomorrow night. So we thank them for that. That's a massive move by them so that we can get all 5 of these games on our stream. Otherwise, we wouldn't be allowed to do that. We would have had to start somebody at an absurd time where we wouldn't have would have been a good experience for the players or their fans. So thank you to both of those programs. We look forward to that. And obviously 5 more championships to award tomorrow night as well. It's an awesome time of year. We're exhausted, but we're having a blast, and this is fun.
I'm going to golf. But we're good. We're good to go. Caleb Glooby tells us we're good to go. So we're going to send it back to Infernosis and Unicorn. Map 5 coming up, Santa Cruz versus Boise State.
Well, welcome back, everybody. Thank you very much, Jacob and Coach Jim, for the support. Jacob, once again, happy birthday. And now we got ourselves in a good situation to step into a control point map. The match point now for the UCSC squad, and we've got an interesting one to start off. And I know this is a thing that we have kind of been proven wrong time and time again, but I'm going to bring it up again. We see Nepal now being brought to the table, and this is actually their best fight win percentage map. And there is no stats. No stats for Santa Cruz for this. They have no information about Santa Cruz playing this map at all.
Well, if there was a map that they needed it's this one.
It's here.
And then they need 3 more after this. So
this a lot of dreams.
Right? Yeah, I mean this is what dreams are made of for the side of Boise State. They're gonna have to pull something, the rabbit out of the hat, as we call it, to make something work here. We'll jump straight onto Shrine, deal with the elephant in the room on the map. That is UCSC and how well they are playing right now and have taken down Boise State time and time again throughout all these maps. What answer Boise State has right now is beyond me, but as of right now, they're going to try it with a bird in the sky without a Mercy Pocket, unless a large Bagel gets the speed boost and switches, nope, Goblin will fool me, Caster Curse me back onto Reaper there. They'll go full Brawl, have the Symmetra TP, so the staggers are there, they'll be able to get back to point quickly. They've got to pull something crazy here in Infernosis.
Boise State opting to put Play-Doh on this match just gets them to be able to contest the objective itself a little bit easier, but I'm not necessarily sure that Goblin, who's had pretty good target position about who to pick, they're getting killed a little bit too quickly. I think that Santa Cruz has done a better job of targeting Goblin specifically because they know that Reaper counters Winston, and that means Goblin counters EMF, and it's the exact opposite of what you need because your team is kind of relying on EMF pretty handily. Snozzler's just running into the back line, managing to do a lot of damage to the objective, already handling it now inside of Boise State's favor. Just Santa Cruz not going on top of it. Snozzler 1v1 by Bagel, and Bagel will win the fight, and Guac has started their own bit of damage as well, taking Otters out for the count. Pell charging an Ionic and finding another into Moses. Boise winning their first fight and cleaning up as they attempt their escape.
That's the Boise that I love to see too, and we've seen it so many times from them, where you see these crazy brawls going on, and then all of a sudden you see the Reddit Lucio of your nightmares come in and 1v1 you, and you're a Reaper, or excuse me, you're a Tracer, especially Snozzlar's Tracer. A large Bagel is a menace on this Lucio, and that's what they need right now to get this reverse sweep started. It's got to start here on Nepal, and it can't stop. That's a good sign right there. As the main tank falls, they're going to walk forward and try and clean up. Goblin falls as well. However, Otters is down for the side of UCSC. That should be enough for Boise State to clean this up and continue the defense.
Yeah, I mean, Ionic's just hoping for a pick, maybe just trying to get some damage off, damage out of shield, but Play-Doh's got some pretty substantial position on site. Turrets set up, is able to just right-click and hold that to just wreck any chance of EMF's bubble to have any sort of substantial positioning, forcing Basant to go forward. A bobble, we toss the objective, now pushed back in a good position. Play-Doh splits the map in half, but Basant goes in pretty aggressively. I think a fat-fingered Death Blossom from Goblin. It does find Gother, maybe forced as they were near death, but it's going to be cleaned up once again. Kellen, Goblin finding Basant and EMF. Goblin's going to teleport to the backside, hoping to maybe catch one off guard, because this fight, once again, in favor of Boise, but Kel just needs to take a nap, apparently, because they're just not feeling 100%.
Yeah, gonna take a quick nap there, but look at all the ults for the side of Boise State here as they go to contest, or excuse me, go to defend this last point. Now, UCSC has some ults of their own, both tank ultimates, which is extremely important for this last fight, but EMF just gotta stay alive. Luckily, he does. Oh, a huge beat drop. Saves Play-Doh from falling that focusing beam, and they turn the fight around, and Snozzlar dies on the Echo.
That's a big one. Here comes the Diva Bomb from the Sock. It's not going to be able to kill, but it will deal quite a bit. Kel finds a double in return with their own Diva Bomb. That might just save Boise in this return. Ionic will be able to stop the bleeding just slightly as they do take out Bagel, but I think Boise will just decide to take a step back. They're going to have their heroes back a little bit sooner than, say, Santa Cruz will, but this is going to be a snowball effect. The difficulty. Ionic has to do so much, and here comes this garage door from Asu. The damage amplification and an immortality field to boot things off.
Yeah, it's going to be enough. It's that Sim TP that allows Boise State to get back so quickly. However, they dedicate a nano onto EMF. He does end up falling to those turrets. So pesky when they're just sitting up there on the ceiling. Basant trying to sustain here as this Diva, but once again, this Sim TP Infernosis is going to allow Boise State to continue these fights so predominantly and so quickly to come back, and as soon as they're out of spawn, be able to make their way to point. That Sim TP back there is allowing Boise State to get back into the fights as quickly as they want to, and UCSC doesn't have a lot of room to breathe on defense.
I think we're going to see the Primal Rage come out from the NF. We indeed will. Ionic drops their own Death Blossom, speed boosted forward as well. They'll find one up on top, finding a second, but there goes Goblin from behind, finding Jonah Moses and Snozzlar. Back line taken out for the count, but Vasok and Ionic will not let it go without a fight. EMF finishing things off strong. Santa Cruz, they say, hey, we'll pop off our own. You may find two, but we're going to continue back swinging. Vasok's going to take a reset just to make sure they can get back into the mech. They're not going to go for that re-mech damage, that 200. They're just going to say, hey, I'll just bootpack my way back. Not a big deal.
They know Basok isn't there for now, though. They'll commit hard to this fight. Goblin being sectioned out immediately on that Reaper, forced to wraith out. Snozzler does have the duplicate self-destruct. He'll throw it. That'll at least force out Immortality Field. Instead, it finds Bagel.
That's a big one to go through. Now a Shatter does get dropped. Guac uses theirs. Force now is they're very low in HP. Immortality Field keeping them alive in the fight. Goblin does find one, but EMF takes the kill to Guac, and Snozlar takes the kill into Kel, finding it with the beam. Goblin finds one consolation to Snozlar in the refrag, but Vasak will not let it stand. It was a 99-0, and it's looking like it's going to be a 99 or 100 back to 0. It will be Vasak booping back Guac, and that is another phenomenal outplay we've seen from Santa Cruz. The body block and now the boop. Vasak is a masterclass player.
The undefeated team finds themselves in a last match point, last round effort here to try and take this to a reverse sweep situation. This is just the beginning of the tasks ahead of them. They've got to win Nepal, and now they're on the back foot of that map. A huge season, an undefeated season could come to an end here on Sanctum. Bagel needs some boops, Guac needs some halts, Vasak needs to keep that defense matrix up and save his team for one last round to upset what everyone believed was an easy 4-0 here in Nepal. Get hyped. I hope you're on the edge of your seat like we are. This could be it.
Yeah, when a Snozlar back on that main, you're bringing in that full Sin brawl that we have thought Boise State would be able to contest against, but apparently was not. As Santa Cruz were just completely coming in swinging. They're going to do that immediately. Snozlar cleaning up what Ionic started by stunning out Bagel. Now EMF trapped instead of a Junkrat mine, but it doesn't seem to really matter. Plato and Goblin able to clean up two of their own. EMF forced to kind of take a step back. No one really there to assist. They'll take a charge forward, but not able to find anything off of it. It will be felt quickly afterwards. Vasak did find Plato, but it's not going to matter. Boise State will be able to take this objective, and they will be able to start this one off strong.
So clean from Boise State there, Infernosis. I want to talk about it as quickly as I can. As that brawl wanted to round that corner and come forward, instead they sustained with Guac on that Orisa and played that health pack room. That allowed for Goblin's turret and Guac's spam to really rain down on that brawl in the space they needed to come forward. It wasn't quickly enough. They didn't have the May wall, and they were able to mow down that brawl before it got any substantial damage done to them. And now you're going to see these forced long rotations from UCSC, because how else do they get to the Orisa? Boise State will continue playing the slow game and spam here. They'll use Kel with that defense matrix to jump in and out of point to force those contests, but look at Asu and friends getting that spam damage and finding those picks where they can.
All right, there goes the Riptire. It will deal a lot of damage of not finding any kills. Instead, Asu, Goblin, and Bagel will find their own. No tanks now left for this UCSC side. A full regroup will have to come through. I want to point out, Snozlar put down a phenomenal wall to deny that damage amplification field of Asu, and it worked for a momentary lapse, but it was Plato who just says, hey, I'm a Junkrat. I can just hit these around every corner and just spam you. And that's exactly what happened. Followed suit with a massive damage from a Riptire. Nothing was going to save them. The Immortality Field just wasn't enough, and Boise will win yet another fight. But we just saw the last one go 99-0. We could see that back-to-back.
We absolutely could. The High Noon comes out. The turret's doing damage to him, but it's not enough. Plato does fall. However, the Molten Core is there to clean up Snozlar. Otters does find the boops. We said that might be the game changer. Goblin with the hammer kill on Vasak. He's making it clean here, trying to say not only we're going to take this reverse sweep, we're going to do it in style. I love the Torb hammer kill from Goblin.
That is a massive...
A little disrespectful.
Yeah, it's just disrespect at that point in time, and what a great way to go about it. But now, nearing that 99% margin, they're going to have to take a step forward. Snozlar with another phenomenal wall to step forward. Snozlar has the Blizzard, looking to go for it. They have no way to deny it. It's eaten once again. It has been... I don't think Snozlar's got a single Blizzard off. It doesn't matter. Their walls have been spectacular. They're going to get knocked in the air, knocked up off of the mines of Plato, and they're still trying to play off of it, but it's not really going to matter. Otters is looking for a boop off, not going to be given the opportunity to Junkrat Tower. Comes to Plato, finding one. Kel with a Diva Bomb to Moses, and this map's done for. Boise will be able to save the bleeding, stop the hemorrhaging just slightly, but they still got one more round to go.
If you're Boise State and you're a fan in chat, you can breathe for just a second, but only a second
just
here.
One.
You've taken one map of Nepal. You're still technically on the back foot as far as the series is concerned. However, you've evened out Nepal. Take a deep breath. gather that mental, that fortitude. We haven't even talked about that, Infernosis, to go this long already and to know that if you want to take this, you're just getting started with the series. None of the previous maps even matter. If you're Boise State, you've got to win them all from here on out. You take a breath, you find yourself on Village. Brawl's the name of the game, and you know you're strong with it. You'll come out on the Torb, come out with Plato on the May. It's all Boise State right now, and they're gonna have to do it once again in style if they want to take the call just to begin this.
Yeah, and already the push coming through. Snozlar wall will cut off Sightline. Block is having to be forced to use Immortality kill Lasu, and that's going to get taken out. Vasok finds it. Goblin has a turret that finds Moses's, but now it's just EMF swinging forward. Vasok finding Guac. Now no mainline tank for that side. EMF about to get frozen, but narrowly avoids that fate, but will be felled to kill nonetheless. But it seems to be UCSC winning this fight, and Vasok's just going to say, hey, I'll take the point. You guys do your dirty work over there. Just clean up where you can, and that's exactly what we're going to see happen.
Now, I know Doc Haskell has some huge tricks up his sleeve. I love what he does as a member of Boise State there for esports, and I'm confused though on the Goblin Torb. I am, because this Brawl wants to play fast, and I don't feel like Torb allows them to do that. He needs to set up for a second. But here's the Shatter, and we don't have time to talk about it. Ionic and friends are going to walk forward. EMF's going to get a huge Shatter, and that's already 30. Going to tick up to 45% before they see another fight in Infernosis.
Unicorn, this is bad. This is bad news.
It's bad.
You're seeing Boise State, they're unable to remove the Immortality fill to Moses. This is the exact same reason you've seen UNA in the lower division of what we just saw the game prior. No team was able to compete against UNA besides UAH because UNA just had Immortality fields that would stay up. If a team could contest with that, it would have gone an entirely different way. But we're seeing Boise unable to contest against the Immortality fields. Oh, Goblin finds a kill to turn into Ionic. Vasok is forced to D-Mac at this point in time, but Plato has tossed out their own Blizzard. Snozlar as well will go for it, but doesn't really find as much effect as Plato's does. And another turret kill for Goblin. You contested the turret, but the turret bites back.
Turret don't miss, as I'd always like to say. No matter what, it's going to hit something. And right there, Ionic threw that high noon and just kind of lived in line of sight of that turret. And eventually it whittled him down, and he didn't find a single Immortality kill. If that didn't happen, I think if he's alive, UCSC are able to continue to take that fight, but now they find themselves trying to attack into the Molten Core that is Goblin.
This is a very, very difficult position. Molten Core comes through. Goblin is trying to make it difficult to stay onto the high ground, doing just that. Bagel will drop the beat, making it a little bit easier for the team to stay alive, but it's replicated back by Honors. And now the fight has continued forward. Vasok has dropped in with a Diva Bomb. It's not going to do too much. It will be able to take out and damage Guac, but it'll be Ionic who does get the finished off kill. And now Plato's attempting to contest forward, but Boise with a man down, no main tank. Only thing they can do is find a consolation kill into Snozlar, but immediately back, they're not able to find anything else. EMF onto Kel. Now they have no tanks in this fight, just a DPS differential, and it looks like Santa Cruz are just going to continue their strong suit, take this one back, and be able to get up to that 60% and maybe even beyond.
The fight doesn't look like it's done. It looks like Guac commits a Shatter, but the kills are still in the favor of UCSC. That's detrimental to throw such an impactful ultimate, while not only does UCSC have the point, but you're on the back foot, and you lost the previous fight. No Shatter, not a single ultimate to the name of Boise State besides this window, and they're coming up on Molten Core. I guess I should shut up and look at numbers before I start talking about no ultimates. However, I didn't see a check mark, so that's all that matters. They've got the Molten Core. They've got the Amplification Matrix. It is the only thing that stands in their way, or in their favor, excuse me, to take Nepal. They are immediately walled off. Amplification Matrix is null and void, but he blocks the Shatter.
A very big event. EMF will be able to have that one wasted, but it's going to be frozen back out. EMF swings and finds as that Blizzard does so much impact, but Molten Core comes out as well, and Bagel's doing damage. Goblin finds two of their own while Plato takes their own. Boise State will bring it back. They're going for a hammer kill, and they'll get just that. I think that's Vasok's second hammer death. Goblin is punishing the mentality, but it doesn't seem to matter. A 99 to 62% difference. This does not bode well, but Boise State has to defend it if their life is on the line.
Your second breather. You get about a half second this time. If you're a fan or if you're Boise State, you get to defend here. This will be last fight because of how slowly these brawls play out and the way that Boise State likes to fight off point. Instead, this time they'll defer to the back of point, and they're going to rely on Plato's Maywall plus the Blizzard. They have to avoid the defense matrix of Vasok, though.
Yeah, already taking the high ground. Ionic has this high noon, can maybe go for it, but they'll need to get rid of Guac if they want any chance. Plato's wall's on cooldown now, but they've got that Blizzard. It goes through. Is it eaten? No, in fact, it is not. They're going to be frozen. Ionic forced to have to bait it, and he'll be frozen in the process. EMF in a very low HP. Full damage boost as Bagel has dropped the beat, and the amplification field does go down. Snozlar in with 1 kill to Asu, but this fight is contesting onward. It looks like Boise's actually going to be able to take this one off because UCSC is just not finding picks and not finding success. It's just Otters really just tagging out just slowly but surely, and there might just be a shatter to just end it off guaranteed. Yeah, indeed, it's going to be Boise. EMF is just going to go to the shatter of block. Oh my goodness. Boise will stop the bleeding and finally win their first map, but this might just be a small consolation prize because UCSC only need 1 map win to win it all.
We can't say it enough. The undefeated team finally takes a map here. They get Nepal, and I hope we see the hammer here to top it all off. I don't know if this is when we see the hammer, but Goblin's Torbjorn ended up working out very, very well. This 100% is the hammer kill. Yeah, he'll clean it up with the hammer here. I like it. A little unironic sheesh right there. But Goblin popping off. Boise State finally able to take a map. Terrifying for the undefeated team. They now have to reverse sweep this. We'll go back to a hybrid. Yes?
I can double check that. Yeah, for sure. It is going to be after control again. It will be hybrid. So.
Okay. So we'll go back to hybrid. It will now be UCSC's map pick. And I don't think they have the same insight we do, right? I don't think they have, team fight win percentage that they've been provided with. I don't think they have anything like that. So they'll be going off of their strengths and potentially Boise State's weaknesses as they pick this potentially last and final map. But what do you think they go to clean this up? If I'm speaking subjectively, without any sort of bias, I hate going to Kings Row. Because whenever I coach a team, I always tell people, everybody loves Kings Row. What you want to do is put a team at a disadvantage. You're never going to do that if you pick Kings Row because there's no one on the other team is like, ugh, Kings Row.
I mean, no.
What a terrible place to be. No one's doing that, right? So I think you switch it up here. And once again, I'm not in the UCSC locker room, but EMF's popping off on the Winston, right? They've shown that they can play. Ionic can play, whether it be the Echo, whether it be the Ash. I think you go Numbani. I think you keep high ground as an advantage, and then for point 3, you lock it in and you brawl toe-to-toe with Boise State, but I think you lock down high ground Numbani with the EMF Winston.
I think I agree. I don't think that Boise's going to allow that, though. I don't think that Boise is going to really let that one be left up. I mean, knowing about EMF, they told me they're wary of EMF and they're wary of Moses. Just being wary of EMF already sets a precedent not to let EMF play Winston, not to let that map be played for Winston.
Sure.
And I just don't think they're going to allow that. If they do, then I think Santa Cruz have it.
Well, I'd love to hear from production once we find out what the ban is for the side of UCSC, or excuse me, for the side of Boise State. They'll find out the ban, let us know, and we'll see what they come down to. But if I'm UCSC and it's allowed, like you mentioned, I think I go Numbani here. I mean, otherwise, what options do you have besides Numbani that's going to favor EMF's Winston as much? I think Blizzard World, there's a lot of high ground contests that you can get away with, but a lot of that forces Brawl back to the payload, and a lot of that high ground contest is just to force hit scans off of it. Blizzard World's second point does allow you to really exist on that high ground for both defense and offense, kind of bait the payload progression like we saw UCSC do so well in Gibraltar. But does that continue to work for the entirety of Blizzard World, especially after you move into a very long point 3 inside that Blizzard World is? I think Numbani is the better bet, but we have to assume it's not banned, and maybe Boise State and UCSC know something, internally that I don't, and they opt for a different choice. But personally, I'd go Numbani.
Yeah, I think I'd have to agree with you. I think Numbani's the right choice. I do. I just don't think Boise's going to leave it. If they do, and UCSC doesn't pick Numbani, I think they're not right in the head, maybe. I think they didn't think it through enough. There wasn't enough talking in the locker room, so to speak. But I think if they're going to pick another map, I think probably going to be Eichenwald. They seem really comfortable. I mean, it's even stated that Santa Cruz has a pretty high pick rate for that. They also have a high pick rate for Hollywood, Kings Row. I mean, they obviously really like hybrid. Everyone tends to like hybrid. Kings Row is Scrims Row. Everyone knows it. It's interesting But as of the current moments, I can't say it's anyone's game because it's a flip of a coin right now. Hybrid is Boise's worst mode, statistically speaking, for their fight win rate. All around the board.
And they proved
their
it.
lowest. Yeah.
They've proven it on Hollywood. It was rough. Hollywood
It was a
rough.
one-sided slaughter.
And it was, I remember how surprising it was. I mean, it through this cast, it feels like so long ago now. But
2 hours
I remember
ago.
just sitting there, jaws on the floor from both of us. Not sure if it was on stream just yet as that game was ending, but jaws on the floor as we watched this Goliath of a team come up and get full held on Hollywood. Now we go back to a hybrid. Now we go back to a map that forces that 2CP style at the beginning and then goes into an escort. Well, let's look at how those have gone. You barely drew Volskaya. That's that 2CP first portion of it. And then you lost definitively on Gibraltar, your escort. That's the second portion of that hybrid map. So if you're Boise State, you're still worried at this point. I would go as far as to say that this is still UCSC's series, that they still have this just about in the bag. They just have to close it out here, and we're just getting word, Infernosis, that they'll have to do it on Blizzard World. Do we know what the ban was, Caleb? Okay.
Any way we could get the ban? I'd love to see the ban. I would absolutely. I knew it.
Yep.
I knew it was going to be
ban was
it.
Numbani. So we talked about it, kind of decided that would probably be the best bet for UCSC. I think both sides were in agreement, and Numbani was the ban. And the second call that you mentioned, not Eichenwald, not anything else, will head to Blizzard World. Talked about the high ground contest. I think a lot of that gets taken away 0.3. I think this is going to come down to which team can snowball phase 2. That initial
Absolutely.
streets phase outside where all that high ground is in contention. We'll have to see which of these sides can snowball street phase, because that's where a team can either be full held or get a bunch of time in the time bank by winning a fight and a half and then forcing those staggers.
Yeah, and this is, I hate having to bring up the fight win rate, but like I said, Hybrid's just not Boise State's mode. They've got a 60% on Blizzard World.
Mhm.
So it's still, above that margin of, 50-50, but it's not been above the margin of 50-50 for this entire matchup. It has pretty much been a one-sided affair for UCSC in any terms of anything that's not control. So it's difficult to warrant the thought process there, but we'll take a look at what's being brought out, and of course we could see Boise State change, we could see UCSC change, and Goblin bringing back out the Torbjorn. I'm actually shocked if they can hold the high ground with that and keep Kwok up on top as well. It may bode well, but take a look on the other side of the screen. UCSC are bringing back Otters on the Brigitte with Snoslar back on the Tracers. This is going to be actually insane because Otters and Snoslar were unstoppable in Hollywood. The dynamic duo, Otters had 74% kill participation. It was nigh unstoppable.
And we do see him back on that Brigitte like you mentioned, and that's if you can wreak havoc on any support hero, it's going to be that Brigitte as long as you can stay either with Vasok or running forward with EMF. However, I love the Tor pick here from Goblin, able to maintain those long line of sight. That turret kind of acts like a mini sniper for you, whittles down the opposition as they try and move forward through one of these streets, either the left or the right as they move forward. You'll see Moses opt for that high ground, at least most likely. Yep, there he goes. And EMF will follow suit. The pause will come right after as we figure out what's going on. And not too sure just yet, but when we talk about these early rotations from the attacking side, I think Moses has to gain the high ground. Otters has to live up there with him to stop the dive from Guac because they don't know if he's on the Reinhardt yet. I think they've just now seen it, if I'm remembering correctly. But if I'm a team who doesn't know what I'm going up against, I'm keeping Otters with Moses to try and stop any sort of Tracer, Echo, maybe a Winston from jumping in on that Ana player. But once they see what they're up against, Otters will be able to move forward and kind of thrive a little bit better with that front line. But have we gotten a reason for this pause yet, or do we know what's going on?
A tactical pause? I mean,
Tactical pause, big-
that's the only thing we've gotten, really. I mean, we're being asked if Bagel spilt another smoothie. Maybe see if something happens. I'm not sure. Apparently, Overwatch. I mean, it was Plato this time. Plato spilled the smoothie. All right, they're switching it up. They're saying they're ready again, so we can jump back into it. But I mean, this is already a 2-hour, 54-minute, and 59-second match. So, I mean, I've got that down to a T because it's in our RTMP feed. But this has been a very, very long match, and it has been, weirdly to say, Santa Cruz the entire way.
Yeah.
But it could still be anyone's game if we can just see Boise State continue to get first picks. They'll find Snarslaw immediately because Goblin's able to connect with just enough. But I don't know if that'll continue. They're not going to have to wait for Snarslaw to come back. But that's a Tracer. They can come back quite quickly.
Yeah, they definitely can, and what you see here from the side of UCSC is just trying to stage for now. They want to get that poke damage, try and build the ult of Ionic or Snozlar. However, they do stop that double bubble dive with a great coach gun, and Goblin finds a pick onto Snozlar. That's going to slow this attack down once again, and Guac and friends are going to try and move up and capitalize on it, get some additional poke. I don't see them committing to a full fight yet. They won't, but they'll try and get some additional poke for those DPS players to build those ults.
Yeah, I think Snozlar might be kind of either waiting to get the Tracer, the Pulse Bomb off, and then hoping to get an impactful kill. But I think Kel's done a good job of eating basically everything, so I don't know if necessarily that'll go through. But look at it. Sock, they've already gotten 95, now 100 charge. They are nigh unstoppable. They've done this consistently in this game, and they're continuing to do so. They're just so devastated to go. There's the pick. Ionic finds Play-Doh. Now you've got to get some more charges going under. Ace, who does drop down the amplification field, but I'm not sure if it's necessarily going to be enough because Immortality's out for the count from Ionic. They're looking to continue to deal out some damage. It's the old saying, looking to protect yourself or deal some damage. They're looking to deal damage, and they're continuing to do so as this fight conglomerates on top of this field.
Goblin is going to commit. Wow, okay, it's surprising he commits the Molten Core to a fight that almost felt lost, but now you see a large Bagel come and find a pick of his own. And Boise State are holding this for now, but the grab comes in, unable to defend Matrix, and another huge anti-nade cleans up the fight. Moses is on fire on this Ana, and like you said, 2 hours and 50 minutes later, I forgot that he played Ana in the first couple maps, and he's absolutely killing it already with these anti-nades.
This is actually... it was Bob on Bob violence right there at the end, which was pretty entertaining. It was basically just Bob. I do think Ionic was on the point as well, but it was basically just Bob capping the point and just holding there. So it's interesting to see. As of this current moment, we are now in the streets phase, the pylon phase, as some people do call it, for Blizzard's World, because it is that simple pylon. But it's kind of a game of high ground. For a dive-heavy comp like the EMF squad of UCSC kind of want to bring, they can dive that high ground and play it all day, but the issue kind of arises when a beat drop comes through and then Guac dives the rest of your backline with a shatter, so it could kind of snowball the other direction if you're just not careful.
Speaking of that shatter, he's got it ready. It's no longer in the oven. It's geared up and ready to go here. Might just shatter the Winston. However, another huge anti forces the immortality field. The shatter does come on to EMF's Winston. However, the Nano is able to sustain him long enough to get the primal off. Meanwhile, the rest of UCSC are finding picks. Guac ends up falling after a drastic turn of events, and EMF friends are able to walk this through and continue, like we talked about Infernosis, this snowball of a streets phase that is Blizzard World.
This is looking really well. They're able to snowball it exactly like we predicted. It's what you have to do. You have to do that if you want any chance to contest. Guac has now switched to Winston as well. You will see the Molten Core come out. Maybe this will have enough of an effect, but when you've got Snalzar who just has that pulse, it's going to deal a lot of damage. Save though, but Vasak will not let anyone escape. Vasak even goes for the grab. I mean, they're really full committing to the stage. It does find Play-Doh, and Snozlau will be able to finish off Goblin. This is monstrous once again from UCSC. They are on a rampage, on a roll, and the payload has not stopped rolling.
It is, I mean, once again, a little low-key flex of my own, exactly like we called it. They go for the double bubble. They go for the double bubble on point 1 and Streets phase. Hate you so much. And then as point 3 opens up, look at an EMF immediately as they cap it, walk back to the spawn room and immediately switch to this brawl comp with the Lucio from Otters and EMF on that Reinhardt. I love the call here. They want to brawl forward and immediately forget about the ult economy and take this as a fresh start for attack.
Yeah, I mean, this is not a bad decision. And a humble flex here, but I've played at 2100 before, so I know what I'm talking about here. They're definitely full swinging in. This brawl comp is just doing so much right now for this UCSC side. That switch from EMF to go to the Reinhardt and to come from around the backside of this pillar, take the high ground out for Ionic. They caught ASU off guard, and while they did get the amplification field down, I don't think it's necessarily going to matter because Asu wasn't there to assist, wasn't there to heal, and the rest of the squad for Boise State was felled because of it. They're going to have to rely on Kel's bomb here, and they're going to have to rely on Molten Core. It's going to go out the second it's dropped, just trying to get them off for a couple seconds, but there's 2 minutes and 40 seconds of time to work with. They don't have to sit there for now. They can play their own game. Moses finds one, but Plato and Bagel find two of just Snosslar and EMF. It seems to be a regroup might need to come forward from the Santa Cruz side, but the Sox got massive charge and is looking to dish out some damage.
Yeah, he wants to keep that charge as well. It's weird to see them not falling back. Instead, Ionic finds the pick on the large Bagel. They send the Bob in, throw the solo grab out. It does grab the turret, which I don't think was moving in the first place. However, they keep it. They throw the nano onto the sock as well, that high charge area, amping up that damage. And just like the snowball we predicted, you're going to watch UCSC walk this in with about 2 minutes on the clock. Ridiculous.
I mean, that is there's no words.
It's the patience. It's the patience with the retakes. Right when you said, Goblin through the Molten Core, right? A large Bagel found a pick. And you called it, there's about 2 minutes, 45 seconds on the clock. We'll stave them off for now, and they'll come back in a little bit. Instead, they choose to stay about half engaged, throw the bubble onto Ionic. It's enough to build that Bob. They throw the Bob into the back. That forces the rest of Boise State to kind of seclude themselves in that original choke that is that spawn door. That buys time for EMF to come back on that Reinhardt, and now they can start pushing forward again. I love the patience and the intelligence that turns into a retake when you're so heavily favored for the spawn on the defensive side.
They just supplemented EMF. They didn't need EMF. They just supplemented. You know how they supplemented it? They nano boosted the sock. That basically alone does equal up to having another tank there. And then on top of the nano boost, they dropped the beat, or somebody, Bagel, somebody dropped the beat. It was just a lot was going on at the exact same time. There wasn't much to do with a nano boost, a rallies ready to drop everywhere. I mean, every single ultimate for Santa Cruz kind of culminates in one single point. And that exact composition they were bringing, everything they wanted to bring and continue to bring, just found success. They were not able to be denied. Boise State was able to get 1, maybe 2 consolation kills each time, but when you've got Otters who was able to get everyone up to like a massive health pool, Moses who had Vasaka max charge, nano boosted, and grab ready, and used the grab in the best way I've ever seen to solo take out Goblin's annoying little turrets. I mean, that's the best way to do it.
Yeah, and then you throw the Bob in the back from Ionic. I love the play there. And speaking of plays, what a weird composition that I am seeing from the side of Boise State right now. The double projectile Torb Hanzo with the Rhine Sig Lucio Bap. It's strange, but they've got to have something cooking here. I know Doc Haskell's brain is as wrinkly as they get. Ooh, kind of clean from Plato there. Way to go, Caroline, on that observer right there. That was huge. To find that pick, I absolutely love it. That should wrap it up there after that pick.
Yeah, I mean, Ionic's in a bad position, has to reload, doesn't really have it available, having to take a step back. The turret, though, from Goblin has just been such a nuisance consistently. We said we didn't like it, and I still don't necessarily like it, but it's enough of a nuisance that it's catching the Santa Cruz side off guard, and it's just what they need. But Santa Cruz is going to go ahead and continue to contest. They've got their team back. They'll get ult charged. It's really what they're doing here. They're just going to continue to get these kills and continue a long and convoluted engagement, because they can lose here. They can lose this fight and die here, but as long as they win one team fight beforehand, they have an ultimate charge advantage. They've got a positional advantage because they can respawn and make it back for a full stage fight to get into position, and they can just make it difficult for them to play the game, which is probably the most demoralizing way you can do something to anybody.
Yeah, we talked about what was such a snowball for the side of UCSC, and then that translates into a spawn door hold, however brief, for their defense. That's huge for them, especially when you deal with this time bank, and now Boise State have to be the ones to try and snowball this, and they're at such a disadvantage because of where the payload is after that spawn door hold. It never got time to move originally, so now UCSC will see 2 or 3 fights out of this, while Boise State on defense only saw 1.
Yeah, not a good position to say the least right now. EMF felled out early. Kel will find that, cleaning that one up on the Sigma, and this pylon phase, the streets phase, is just not boding well. A grab does come out. Ionic taking a lot of damage with Dynamite. Pulse Bomb does go off. It's really only going to get the Immortality field, saving their team. A beat drop does come out from Bagel, stopping the bleeding just slightly. The Molten Core from Goblin will find success as well. Here comes the Monkey raging as the Primal Rage drops from EMF, but they're immediately burned back. But a double Dynamite kill from Ionic, cleaned up with Snow. Snozlar to find more, but Plato is keeping them in this. It is just on the line. Goblin and Plato are doing everything they can to give Boise State any chance to contest.
This attack looking great. They've been able to snowball it despite my beliefs. And now you see the desperation attempt from EMF coming back on that Wrecking Ball. The spin to win doesn't work here in the Gladiators division as these immediately focus down. Last-ditch effort for a touch from the side of Otters does fall as well, and you'll see eventually, after a couple more seconds, Boise State take this with about 3:30 on the clock, maybe 3:15 once they're done killing Snozlar on that Tracer. And they'll move into Phase 3. They've already got the brawl they've wanted, and now Guac has that Shatter. I think they're in good position to snowball this one as well, as long as they can find that Shatter connect with at least a couple people.
Yeah, I mean, this is a position you don't ever want to be forced to be into, but now I guess UCSC are kind of facing the same thing they've been putting out. They dished it out, and now they have to have it dished against them. We didn't really get to see Boise State on Hybrid previously. We didn't get to see this whole chance, but now we are. A nice grab does come through. Vasok dealing a lot of damage. EMF gets Hell, and now they're going to continue the damage going forward. Ionic finds Plato on a refrag, but Goblin finds Moses. Now no support there, but Goblin, another DPS. One of the two carries for this Boise State side. Fire striked out. EMF is dishing out a lot of damage and now looking to maybe continue this punishment.
Guac is going to pretty intelligently back up here, wait for his team, and as we get a second to really calm down and breathe for a second, look at the flank from Goblin. He wants to continue taking this high ground, throw the turret up there, and just be a nuisance to the backline that is UCSC. Now, they'll commit the Gravitic Flux. Doesn't connect with anyone. Looks like it does connect with someone way there in the back, and Goblin's finding picks on that Torb, and that's going to spell success for the red. Ooh, the double boop for Bagel, though. That's kind of clean. 3:30 on the clock, such a large time bank, and they're not even going to be able to touch. What a game. What a game already.
This is back and forth. We may see a full reverse sweep have to come through. Boise State are finally realizing they have to be in this, and they're finally looking like they want to be in this. They now have a minute and 21-second advantage over UCSC. UCSC were just not capable of winning team fights, and they snowballed. It's the name of this map. If you can take first control points, then you can snowball all through Streets phase, and you can snowball this Castle phase. There's nothing they could do about it. UCSC did the same thing, and they had it done against them, but they lost control point quicker, and that set the pace.
It absolutely has, and now Boise State, with even the smallest amount of momentum in their favor, has been able to shift it into a larger time bank with attack on Blizzard World, and it's their lowest win rate percentage, like you mentioned. As far as team fights go, it's their weakest, and they're already looking great. About a minute and a half longer than UCSC. All going to come down to this defense, though. I'd assume they hope for a cleaner defense than what they had previously and try and go for the full hold here. However, I don't think they dedicate ultimates to a lost fight, as they have so long to push to an overtime fight and then get EMF and friends from the side of UCSC off of it. But in those 3 minutes before that overtime, how long can they keep the side of UCSC from capping this first point? When you talk about a full hold, is it sustainable for 3.5 minutes against a team that's been so strong on hybrid like UCSC?
It's difficult. I mean, it's really hard to tell. Right now, UCSC, if they're able to hold first control, or are able to take first control point, then they'll set the snowball up. And I dare say they'll probably make it to the third point. They definitely could.
Okay.
But that's going to rely on Boise State to be unable to control this first point. And from the current lineup we're seeing from UCSC, they're coming out with a lineup that's expectant to just come out full swing. Ionic's on McCree, not on Ash. They're looking to deal damage aggressively at the very beginning stages of the fight and not have to wait to the last few moments. And they're already contesting going forward. Snozlar, is in a very aggressive position, looking to place up some walls. Ionic could have a stun aid come through to maybe catch Guac off guard the second that drops, but they're putting a lot of damage to the shield, trying to remove that Reinhardt contention. But this objective might actually just be capped if they're not careful. A Shatter could come through if they're able to charge, but EMF nor Guac have been able to get much going for them, and it's going to go in the favor of Vasox at this current moment. Goblin does find one. A nice Dragon Strike, but Plato connects to EMF. Now no tank there except for Vasox, but a grab comes through. They're able to find one off the top, dealing a little more damage in the process, and they're able to clean up in the last few moments. That looked like Boise State were about to make the comeback, but the resurgency will not matter. UCSC will take it in the end.
They take it off the back of a Sox Graviton Surge, and it's weird because if you're almost screaming winnable if you're that attacking side and decided like you don't have You don't have to commit ultimates here. But then right at that moment, Boise State end up coming back, rallying back and finding a couple picks. You lock down Baptiste, you lock down ASU on that Graviton Surge, and that's enough to take that point. Now ASU himself is going to throw that Amplification Matrix, immediately get walled off, but that won't be able to stop it for too long, as it will buy enough time to force them off the point. And Kel being demeched in the back is horrible for Boise State. He is nowhere near any sort of support, as he's way in the back and stuck without a team.
Both Lucio's now dropping the beat, but it's going to be EMF who's felled. Same time as Guac, no tanks in this front line. But Goblin's field is just too much to deal with. Santa Cruz just haven't found an answer, and they're continuing to struggle. Bagel doing so much contesting, not able to take enough heals to stay alive, and Goblin's turret finds Moses. Torbjorn has been a little bit too much for not just Santa Cruz, but for me. I really don't know why it's working so well. My brain can't comprehend. I don't have enough wrinkles in my brain to get the synapses firing to figure out why Torbjorn is so devastating against the Santa Cruz side. Nothing has worked for them. It's awful to watch.
So I think what they're going for here, if I can break it down for a second, right? When you run that Ryan, Diva, May, McCree, Lucio, Bap brawl, think of like Ghosts. You're very frontal assault. This is what I have to address, what's right in front of me. My objective is to isolate their Reinhardt, take that down, force out Immortality Field, focus it, kill the front line. Whenever you put a Reinhardt in that situation, he can't do two things at once, right? And that's why he's been such a victim to power creep. And that's why you have to keep him buffed, because he can't do two things at the same time. So he's either got to look at the front line, he's either got to address that Reinhardt who is in his face, or he's got to turn to the left and look at that Torbjorn turret. It's a nuisance, but once you leave it alone for 15 seconds, 20 seconds, it's getting the ultimate charge. Goblin's able to sit at that off angle and continue sniping as a mini Hanzo in the back, and now EMF Shield has to turn both ways, and it can't do it. He's not Orisa, he's not Sig, he can only do one thing at a time, and that, at least in my opinion, is why that Torb works, as long as you keep it on those off angles.
I mean, it has worked so exponentially well, and while it's only 3 minutes and 21 seconds, if we see Santa Cruz unable to control this first point, it's over, right? If they lose this point, it's over. There's no chance of contention. And it's going to be super difficult to see what they're capable of. Already, they're trying to get fire strikes off, just trying to get charged. Notice how in that last fight, we had actually seen Vasok, I believe, get grabbed before any shatters were available. Like, it was an interesting stat, but oh my goodness, Plato starting off against Moses. Clean headshot kill, pristine, and they're going to continue to go off the top of it. Snozlar finds Guac, one player narrowly avoiding death for a moment of time, but Ionic will be felled by a large bagel. The right at Lucio stepping up and doing what they do best, finding damage, and that little mini Hanzo sitting inside what is new to the old spawn. If they were to lose this objective, Otter's out as Asu collects, and it looks like Boise is just going to step up. They brought the hammer out. Goblin may pay the price, but it's not going to matter. Snozlar not able to capitalize up the freeze. Boise State, they're going to take this.
You know what that fight kind of said to me? You and I are going to be here for a while.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
I don't think we're leaving anytime soon.
Yeah.
Speaking of production, I need a water break after this. I just need some more water. However, we see Boise State attacking here. They don't have long to go, right? Like, they don't have to push it far. They've got Molten Core ticking, and that is such an important ultimate here. You throw it all on the payload. The defensive side can't touch it with the same capability that they could before. They have to dip and dance around it. Oh my god, huge eat! Huge eat for the side of Vasok there. That's probably, no, probably can't fall. Be able to throw the most, or wins the 1v1. This is crazy.
What is happening at this point in time? It does look like UCSC is able to get a couple consolation kills with EMF out from the count from Asu. Large Bagel finding one of the Otters, but Snozlar does get Kel. Now having to face a Reddit. Lucio freezes them out and wins the fight. 24 HP. They're able to stop the bleeding, but they've got to make a full return now, and this spawn is a little bit too close. Blizzard is ready for Snozlar. They need to stay alive to keep this one up, and if they don't have the ability to eat this Kel, not on Zarya, this could go down. Snozlar, you need to hurdle up, drop the Blizzard. It does go down, but they'll pay the price for it, but now it's time for the rest of the team to capitalize forward. Get rid of the darn turrets. Get that out of my face.
It's got to be huge.
This has to be a fat shatter if they want any chance to go for it. There's the Gravitic Flux, though. EMF now has no shield. Kel's going over the top. They'll be able to try and get the shatter off, but it's not going to be able to do too much off the top of it. Guac has their own. They could shatter through. It doesn't connect. Field does come down. Now Guac's going to take a lot of damage. Will be felled because of it. UCSC still trying to stay in this one. Ionic has a high noon, but not in any position to go for it. Finds two in the top ground. EMF finds one as well. Another reset has to go through.
This is 100% last fight because I know Boise State can't make it clean enough in such a corner hole that UCSC is pulling off. This is last fight territory. These dragons have to be huge. Goblin is going to have to get a molten core onto point, assuming it doesn't all get eaten by the stock. The wall is there to wall them off. The Deadeye's going on a flank. Get me on McCree now. He wants to go for the flank, but the turret's there.
Oh, that is just debilitating, and you've got to look out. Goblin has the ultimate. If they make it back in time, they can kind of play with it. But now they don't really have a great way to escape. You're going to have to fight this one on the background. Snodstar assisting their teammate of EMF, but they might have overextended, and Ace2 will pay the price because of it. Only one ultimate to go through. They'll drop the beat and drop the amplification matrix as well, hoping to get some damage off the top. Otters goes in for the Reddit Lucio play, trying to target Play-Doh, but it doesn't seem to be going well because Kyle and Play-Doh find him instead. Boise State will actually manage to get it. We're going even further. Like you said, we're going to be here for a little bit longer.
We're just getting started, Infernosis. I'm freaking out. I'm moving my chair. This is crazy. And who else better but my boy, the meme star Goblin comes out. Do we see another hammer kill? I don't think we do. But it's this molten core that we talked about that sectioned off that payload and made it hard for the rest of UCSC to really get on point and touch. And it's so that was Goblin on attack right there. It didn't look like it. That was Goblin on attack. He had wrapped around and flanked to where it looked like he was defending right there, and that was how they were able to lock it in. I don't know how big Ionic's high noon would have been if that turret wasn't there stopping it. That turret being there that killed him. How is the Torbjorn pick doing this? How is it doing everything at once? It's stopping flanks now, Infernosis. It's your 7th player.
This is not good. And now we're going to be heading to an escort map. We're going to be heading to escort in map 7. We're going all the way through, but we will be taking a short break. I think we're heading to what, the booth or an ad? Or which one are we doing
An
here?
ad.
Ad break. So we're going to be heading to an ad break. This is going to be where me and Nuclear are going to be. Sorry, Unicorn, not Nuclear. Me and Unicorn. I've been here for 3 hours and 16 minutes. I'm getting your name wrong. I apologize. Where me and Unicorn are going to be able to have a little bit of a water break, and I think both teams are going to need a little bit of a break as well. Again, UCSC, match point. They just need one to win it, and they're just not been able to do it. Boise State has stopped them, but we'll see you guys in a few short minutes. Stay tuned for the last bit of action.
What will you like today? Another Cloud 2 Classic?
I'll stick with the usual. Maybe take a little bit off the sides.
Oh, that's fresh.
The HyperX Cloud 2 Wireless. Legendary comfort goes wireless.
Hey, watch your head.
Well, welcome back, everybody. My name's Infernos, is joined here by Unicorn, not Nuclear. And he will be joining in two
Contrary
whole
to popular
games
belief, I
later.
guess.
So, the more popular one, Unicorn. I had Nuclear message me and say, I heard that slip. And I was like, no, I gotta be like, yeah, it's just, it was definitely not wishful thinking, right? Just.
Sure, yeah.
You stay in the other divisions. We'll take these two. But no, I mean, this is back and forth. I mean, we had a draw, so we're guaranteed if Boise State wins this next one to go to an 8th map and essentially a best of 8 system. But it's still a match point for UCSC, and we're gonna have to see whether or not it really can end right here, or if we're going to have this escort phase go in favor of Boise.
And I think what we have to commend as well, like when we kind of dig into this further, is that this doesn't feel like the series or the match that Boise State prepped for. So as we jump in to this series, we see them fall, down 0-1, down 0-2. Now we're down 0-2 in a draw. Then we also lose Gibraltar pretty definitively. But look at how quickly they've been able to adapt to what UCSC is doing, right? Look at how quickly they've been able to come into the new maps, to Blizzard World, and then Nepal before that, and scrape out these wins. And that further speaks to how prepared they are, further speaks to how intuitive they are and creative with these adaptations to where they can go into future games and potentially take it back to UCSC now. And like you mentioned, this best of 8, this makeshift best of 8, where they come in and take this finals back that, at least if you would have told me 3 hours ago, was theirs and well deserved.
Yeah.
However, some contention from UCSC, and it is also well deserved, is they are playing out of their minds. I can't say how well these teams are both playing, and you'll see Goblin immediately flash that torb there in between those first few seconds when both sides can see the picks. He'll flash the torb in a meme fashion, and we're here on Rialto. And man, Infernosis, has it been a series? And as much as we joke that we've been here all night, right? We need some water breaks. So fun to cast. Such a fun series. Goes down maybe my favorite out of every Overwatch game I've casted so far.
Yeah, I think the only one that I can compare in terms of fun would have been the UAH-UNA game, and that one was even, but a best of 3 in the middle of the season, and it was fun because it was a rivalry game, an actual in-state rivalry game. And for a team that a university attend in the hometown of my university, the university of my hometown. So like I had fun casting that for obvious reasons. This one, I have no connection to these teams. All I've gotten is to see these players throughout the season, watch them grow, some information from Boise State as they want to help casters out and give information. We're glad to always have that assistance, but at this point in time, it was looking at the beginning that Boise State needed the assistance, but they're learning, they're adapting, they're growing, and they were facing off against what looked to be a completely new Santa Cruz team. They just are playing not like we've seen them to be, and they just didn't know how to adapt, but now they're overcoming that, and they're having to learn on the fly, and they're doing just that. Doc has pulled out everything to get his team just to be able to progress, and it has gone so favorably for them in these last few maps.
And in these maps that have worked out, who's the repeat offender here? It's Goblin on this Torbjorn. Can it be as simple as that? Can that be the answer in this entire series? Is just a turret in your face making your life difficult? Is that as easy as it is? Obviously on paper, much more difficult to implement in game, but man, this Torb is working out so decidedly.
It's so strange to say that as well. It's so weird to say that it's a Torbjorn that's really carrying it up. They'll amplify themselves up, maybe trying to contest. They'll take a lot of damage in the process, be able to get some assistance when they're Baptiste, but I mean, Snowstar is going to have to try and get that pick or die eventually. If they're not assisting their team, then they're really just kind of like a gnat. They're a fly that's just being annoying, but it's not going to matter too much. Goblin will eventually find a Yannick. They'll clear out the Goblin turret as well from Snozlar. Consenting to still go forward. It's basically 7 people on the field right now for Boise State, and it's exactly what they've needed to try and face off against Santa Cruz because nothing else has worked.
And you see them spamming down that turret. They know it immediately has to die. It'll get shielded briefly, but at very low health right now. Goblin finds another pick onto, you corrected yourself last map. Have we been going 6 maps of Snozlar, or is it Snozlar?
I think it's Snozlar.
Okay, cool. Because I heard you correct yourself to Snozlar, but I just wanted to make sure we had.
We had a slight bitrate problem in our RTM feed, so I couldn't read it. I'm pretty sure it's Snozlar.
Okay, fair enough. Either way, he's dead. So
Yeah, he's dead.
Yeah,
He's dead.
Goblin
Zero
killed
HP,
him.
gone
So
out.
that's it. It doesn't matter who. But the Flux comes out, does find the nanoed EMF briefly. Kel will fall though, and it looks like Soglar and friends are able to barely move this payload as it starts pushing forward. Guac falling extremely low, trying to be killed up by Azu here. Eventually will fall. You'll see the rest of Boise State finally be pushed back, and the entirety of UCSC push this payload for free. This should wrap up this first point as long as they can abstain from Kel touching. And I think they should be able to with EMF having Primal available, but we'll see what happens. Yep, they'll be able to touch, no problem.
Primal, and he's got a Brigitte who can force back. But an already aggressive stance to try and come forward. Boise State's getting aggressive. They'll drop a Dragon Strike as well. That is a really good job of baiting out that team of Santa Cruz to take a step, but it just doesn't work for them. And instead, Santa Cruz capitalizes instead. So you used an ultimate, and now you charge their ultimates, which honestly I would say is a big negative, but I think most of the players for Santa Cruz already had their ults, so it's really just pouring water into an already filled bowl. It doesn't necessarily work out, but it's not that big of a no.
I think it was unfortunate because I think that fight goes differently. Plato threw those dragons, and then a large bagel tried to boop the sock off of the map, off the bridge, but instead booped him out of the dragons to safety. And I think if Basak dies on that Zarya, that's a different fight. So unfortunate there, a little bit of miscommunication, but Plato will clean it up with the recon arrow into Ionic's Bob's head. And Guac again, a huge anti on top of him, not much he can do here, and EMF now is just going to jump into the team, force them back into Primal here, force them away from that amplification matrix, and falls pretty low there. That's the power of that double damage window.
Yeah, I mean, it's so devastating to deal with. The Sigma's attempting to throw a boulder in their direction, but it doesn't work out. Snowzar is able to get one kill with the pulse bomb into Goblin. A shatter, I mean, narrowly avoided by Snowzar, but it's still cleaned up. Guac is not able to capitalize on what they were able to do. Now Asu with that immortality field, able to keep it alive for a little bit longer, but not even a Reddit Lucio of Bagel can save it for long. They'll get this point, and now we're in this third phase leading up to the chapel. This is what we kind of saw from Boise State when it came to our second map of Hollywood, where they just were unable to contest towards the streets phase in the end, which I guess is reminiscent of Blizzard World as well, but it all comes down to here, and it'll all come down to Boise State's attack as well. They looked good last time, but they looked terrible on Hollywood.
They did, and here's the Molten Core from Goblin. That will force them back for a while. Doesn't get to get the last couple puddles out there as he tries to wait for that wall to break. It doesn't. I think you flux this just to get the rally away from you. They'll do just that. And isn't enough to take out EMF. Falls extremely low, but is able to stay alive.
I mean, the healing that EMF has on that side, Santa Cruz's support line is easily the best I've seen in a long time. They're doing so well. Otter's up there swinging, finding so much damage. Slaughter of a sock from behind, finding their own Kellen Goblin out for the count. And they're just going to take a step back. They knew they found two. They've got a Graviton Surge ready, and that's going to be pretty devastating as well. But Goblin switched over to a Bastion, to say the least.
There it is, the Bastion.
Well, he goes for the damage amplifying matrix. Ionic finds onto Guac. That's a very important pick as that Graviton Surge did come through. Goblin's got a lot of damage to go forward. It can break shields as well. They need to get either sleep or something onto that, but they can't really contest at this current moment because this Bastion's a little bit too far. A wall placed down will give time for them to have a little bit of safety net to heal, but now they have a shatter available. You know, you say EMF, go for it, but it doesn't even matter. They are able to contest. 2 minutes 39 on the clock, and Santa Cruz make it all the way through for that 3-0 start.
Yeah, it's a huge wall there. So what they do is they section Kel off on that Sigma, and then that also stops the damage coming in from Goblin on that Bastion. Also forces the immortality field onto Kel to be null and void because of that line of sight issue. Plato's coming back from spawn. Kel eventually falls, trying to get out from behind that wall. There's no one left to touch, and so they just kind of walk it in for free there with about 2.5 minutes on the clock to their name, and they're going to set up for a good defense here. And I think seeing Goblin switch to that Bastion at the end, maybe that was a bit of desperation there. Maybe that showed that they didn't have entirely a good answer to the attack of UCSC, because Torb should have been able to do essentially the same idea that Bastion does: sit in a corner, provide that damage that your front line has to stare at, while the rest of your team finds that off angle. Torb can kind of do that by himself, obviously with not nearly as much front-loaded damage, but the same idea over time. So maybe a bit of a desperation pick there from Boise State. However, we'll have to see what they choose for attack. And look at Goblin already on that Torbjorn, and just as I say that, goes back to the Tracer there. But some interesting picks so far.
Yeah, a great way to digest the entire, basically, culmination of that round. I mean, you've really got to... I mean, honestly, you should be in the booth right now for Boise State because they needed that digesting. And now they're going to have to figure out what's going to work, what's not going to work. We're obviously seeing the Santa Cruz side. No, I'm complimenting you. It was a really good way to digest that. That was really well done. I mean, like, it was good. I'm not joshing on you.
Thanks.
No, jeez. I give you a compliment and then, jeez, he did it. No, you're sheeshed out. All right. Gonna break your back. Watch out, man. But I mean, obviously, Santa Cruz in a position where they've got high ground. They need to keep the support going up. They'll find an early pick on Asu, and it'll be EMF who finds it. Onyx is able to take out Goblin's turrets. No immortality field available, but neither is Snozlar anymore, as Plato will secure the kill. An even trade now of basically a 5-on-5, but Snozlar has to walk a little bit further back before they can get back to the fight.
Yeah, look at Otters holding this high ground as well. That forces, so Kel wants to get that high ground advantage, right? He wants to take that off angle and have that oppression, but Otters on that Brigitte forces Kel's down. Forces Kel down, and now the picks come in the favor of UCSC as they're able to take advantage of that double shield not having that high ground. Forces the Sigma into the brawl, and it's not where he wants to be, but somehow they're still pushing it here. But Snozlar finds a huge pulse bomb on the walk.
Yeah, now you got a really high charge for Sock, who's got a massive amount of support behind him. A high noon comes through, but Snozlar able to pull in and finish them off immediately after the shot. Ionic takes out Kel. That high noon could have found success, but unfortunately was not able to be charged enough to deal anything at all, and they'll be paying the price accordingly. Now Ionic's back in the high ground, gets to deal with a Trovier turret for essentially free, and it's also a little bit of free charge for Sock as they'll turn up their bubble and go for it, but you called it a mini Hanzo. I mean, that's exactly what Torbjorn is without having to rely on a turret. And they were able to tag and hurt Ionic in the process, dropping them to like 30%, 35% HP. That's really tough to deal with. And now you're down to DPS because Bagel just smacks down Snozlar.
And look at Goblin 1v1ing EMF as that Torbjorn. They do throw the grab, it's out of range of the immortality field. They get the beat drop, but isn't going to be enough. This is not where Kel wants to be. He's a Sigma inside of Azari, and it's not good. He will get sectioned off via the Molten Core. That should save them for now. Able to at least play patient and dial it back a little bit. But for the side of Kel, he wants to hold this high ground so badly, but Otter and EMF are not allowing him to. It's strange that they keep the Sigma here for anything more than this Gravitic Flux. I think they see a switch immediately after.
Yeah, and as of this moment with this nice like damage amplification matrix, it's a lot of damage onto Moses, but it's not going to be enough. Snozlar punches down Goblin, or Shatter connects. It does a lot, but they're being forced in because that Gravitic Flux came out as well. Snozlar now finding a little bit more damage off the top, and really only a tertiary assistance. A post bomb does go off. Guac's able to block a large portion of it, but now needs more assistance than just that. EMF does go with the primary rage to Cal, but fragged back as Guac finds a charge, which gets the kill. And at 0.19 meters away, it just looks like Santa Cruz is trying to get these last few moments. A high noon comes through. I'm not sure why it managed to get some damage tagged off. I think it literally just managed it for 2 damage total, but they're still able to contest this site, and we got a Graviton Surge about to be ready again. They've got it ready. They're at 100 charge, and here it comes. They're going to be paying the price. Immortality immediately removed, anti as well, and now with Sook and their squad are looking to continue their reigning presence, but Plato may just be able to keep them in this one.
Last fight after last fight, Boise State is able to come back to it, and that's the hardest spot on Rialto. Infernosis is as soon as they push up there, if you don't cap that payload right there, the spawn for the attacking side is so long, then you find yourself at a choke, then you put the defensive spawn right behind you across that bridge. As soon as they walk out, they have line of sight of you. It's the worst spot for an attacking team to get off of the payload, and that's why it took me so long. Already less time than UCSC capped it with on the clock for Boise State as they move into a very difficult streets phase. Goblin going to try and help that with that Molten Core to section off that defense. However, EMF and Friends are able to maintain that high ground, and they've got a rally to help sustain them.
Yeah, I mean, the rally might just be everything, but a nice Shatter connects from Guac, and they're going to charge on the top, somehow being saved. They're not going to die just yet, but they will be felled pretty quickly afterwards. Kels finds Otters. Plato was able to find Snozlar, but is it going to be enough? They're down bad if you are, UCSC, but they're just going to be able to take a step back. Try not to charge any more ultimates, but they're going to do just that as the turret of Goblin finds the Sock, and Asu finds EMF. A pulse bomb going from Snozlar does get one, but they were fragged back by Plato. The McCree counter to Tracer, and they're looking to continue that reign. Plato, oh my goodness, headshot after headshot. They are not missing anything at this time.
Yeah, this is huge for the side of Boise State. So not only did they get all of those stagger kills, force the side of UCSC all the way back into their spawn, get ultimate charge for it, is they took away Snozlar's pulse bomb. That forces the Mei switch, and now you see them, for this .3 defense, back to this very meta-style Mei McCree brawl. Now, can Snozlar's utility on that Mei be enough to stop the ultimates that are already in the favor of Boise State? The Gravitic Flux comes out and tries to deny that immortality down, and already Boise State are rolling through this.
Yeah, a difficult position to be in. They're able to find quite a few picks, really and truly. It's just going to come down to this church section. Can they stay alive or can they be felled? They're not going to have as much time no matter what that we saw UCSC have, but Boise State can get pretty darn close. They can get up to 2 minutes. They can probably get a minute and a half. I think that, UCSC will probably do a good job of contesting, but it's going to be up to them. Santa Cruz trying to stay in. Goblin once again just sectioning and cordoning off entire sections of the map. They'll find a kill on top. They're just steamrolling through. Another set of snowball kills, and the camera's out. They're hunting for it. They're not going to find it, but they will find the objective. They get it with 1:58 seconds left.
And that's what's so important to think about all the way back to that first point attack, is look at how much time that wasted for them. They absolutely steamrolled phase 2 and phase 3 and still ended with less time than what UCSC did, just because of that amazing defense that UCSC had at that first point. So they don't mind getting steamrolled that much. Do they hate it? Do they want to win? Of course, but to come back with a larger time bank after getting rolled for those 2 phases is huge for them. Those ultimates that Boise State came in with were definitely enough to close it out. I think UCSC knew that. If I'm UCSC and I'm ult tracking, I know they have that multi-core. I know they have that amplification matrix. I honestly just come out on the Wrecking Ball and the Diva and try and survive as long as possible. However, they commit to that brawl and they try and go back in it and still able to hold for 10 or 15 more seconds, and that's what ultimately leads them to that larger time bank. And it's going to be a heck of a hold here. I don't know if they can do it against Boise State with how dominant they just were on attack, but they're coming into first point, and this is where it's difficult for them.
Yeah, and just a reminder, Boise State wins this, we're going to a map 8. We have to go to... oh boy! We're going to a control map 8. If this was Valorant like yesterday, like last night, where we had our observer Bulby go through, he told me in the middle of the game, because I had said we might be going to overtime if it comes through this, but he said, shut up, and just sit me and spammed a bunch of messages, and then it happened, and he says, this is your fault. Like, he was very upset. He had been there since like 5 p.m. and had to be there till 4 a.m. I think, yeah, 4 a.m. their time. Actually, it was 5 a.m. their time. It was nuts. I mean, it was crazy to throw out the loose, but they had to be there a long time. That's so bad.
To do it with, you know? Like, if you're going to go all the way to 8, I want it to at this point, because we've been here, we're committed at this point. I want to see it go all the way, and it's not like it's Bill's team versus Jim's team, right? It's Boise State versus UC Santa Cruz. I mean, 2 fantastic teams. This is exactly how you wanted to see this go.
These are teams that have a history. They've got precedent. They've got themselves a full season ahead of them. Nice bubble go through to stop that Stigma Rock. Hell just did it so good to try and go for it and just denied back. They're now going to try and take the high ground. Boise is looking to contest EMF pretty low in the process, but the stock, one of the only times I've ever seen them not at near 100% charge, and the immortality field from Boise is just keeping them alive a little bit longer. And once again, another rock for Kel, eaten and devoured. This is monstrous. They're going to put an amplification matrix on the top, and they don't even have a good angle to use it up here.
Yeah, they definitely don't. And look at the payload progression while this is happening. No matter what, this is going to be last fight. There's not going to be anything more except for staggers after this. Goblin finds the first pick. So if this is last fight from the side of UCSC, they might have to give up first point. And you see Boise State committing ultimates to make sure that happens. But look at Ionics taking out 2 people in the back.
Yeah, bad position to be in. EMF finds Guak. Kel's able to find yet another onto Ionic, but a stop from Snowzar into Goblin. This might just end it all. UCSC Santa Cruz are looking spectacular. That's it. There's really no way for them to go through. It's just Kel trying to contest. Basak has a Graviton Surge. That Goblin turret's not going to last long enough to do much damage for him, and that's going to be it. They could not touch it in time. Santa Cruz will now have to cruise on by Boise State.
And all they have to do is do it with almost an additional minute. on the clock, right? And look at how well Boise State bought as much time as they could, forced the fight away from the payload and onto high ground. During that time, you saw, I can't remember who it was on Boise State that was pushing payload, but got to push it for free. And so they basically, right where the payload is, were almost able to move it for free the entire time. We really only saw one team fight. Can UCSC do it that clean? The win condition is set. All they have to do is push it. All Boise State have to do is hold it. We will see a map 8. If UCSC can get it just 77.23 meters, then we will see them as our grand finalists. Come out, upset Boise State as the undefeated #1 seed. Come out of here with a win, come out of here with a trophy, and at this point, a well-deserved one for no matter who takes it.
Yeah, I mean, this has been one of the most intense matchups, and it's almost if we. They're going greedy. They want this. Boise State they have to do this. They have to stagger to a high degree.
They 100% have to hold. Yep.
If we see Santa Cruz win this, it's a little bit sad to see that it's not going to go to the map 8 and see it actually do that. But nonetheless, it's been a phenomenal game. There's zero complaints to be had for me. But UCSC kind of being forced into their own spawn. The brawl has to come through. Goblin finds the first victim of the sock, but Otters immediately knocks Bagel off the map. Snoslar finds Zone and Asu, and Guac swings the kill into Otters. But the respawns are favoring the attacking side. Snoslar finding Goblin will make it difficult as they have to make the return. Kel will be demeched narrowly. Now they're going to have a stagger. They'll almost just ignore at that point in time, but Snoslar will go for the kill and find a second to Guac. UCSC can now just start rolling this payload up. They can do what the game mode is, escort it all the way.
They've got to keep 3 on here. As they keep 3 on, payload's going to move as fast as it can. I'm not sure why there's only 2 on right now. They need to make it 3 so they can so that this can be definitively the last fight no matter what. However, 2 seems to be doing the job here. I guess they know better than I do. Guac is going to be able to defend that last point. No matter what, this is going to be your last fight as long as UCSC can take it right here. Snoslar finding low, getting low, having to find that recall button, use it immediately here. Look at Ionic on the small flank here, does have Dragons available as soon as he can hit one more body shot.
Yeah, a difficult position to be in. Oh, and they nailed a shot at Asu, and that headshot. Guac does get a fire strike, and Goblin does capitalize as well. But now they need to demech Kel, and then immediately after drop the fire, and the Dragon Strike, they'll do just that. It goes through, dealing out a lot of damage. Suck finds Goblin. Turret does go out. Ionic gets the mech of Kel and finds it. That's going to be it. UCSC are going to find this off if they can just get this May out of the shell. They're going to do just that. It's looking like UCSC are going to be your finals champions, but they're just trying everything. Boise State pulling out all cylinders. A grab to make sure, and that's going to be the big nail. UCSC, UC Santa Cruz, they're making it all the way, and they are your Gladiators Division Grand Champion finalist. Every single word you can come up with. Underdog. This is the first David we've seen of the playoff season, and it's exactly what it is.
Plato doing his best here to try and make it work. Gets the play of the game here, some clean headshots. I love that you don't go for the fan there. Nothing but respect, and that was right as you mentioned it. Him absolutely fragging out. Snoslar, crazy DPS. Moses, crazy support. EMF fragging out on that main tank. It is just Infernosis, just barely enough to come in as the #2 seed, upset Boise State, and take your grand finals, snatch it out of their hands. They held the trophy preemptively for the entire regular season. They sweep through the postseason, only dropping a map, and then you almost sweep them in grand finals, lose your grace a little bit, drop a couple games, get a draw in there, but ultimately you're able to take it all. How good it must feel for the side of UCSC, and man, do they deserve it.
Yeah, I want to bring the question up towards you. Do you think maybe the fact that Boise prepared for a team that we didn't see, right? We didn't see that team. They played completely differently. It was sure. By all accounts, it was just they prepped in a completely new way. It was not what they were expecting. Do you think Boise prepped for the other team and UC Santa Cruz came out and was just completely against all odds, just not what they were expecting, and so they were prepped for the old, but then they had to face the new and paid the price accordingly?
So from what we've heard, and I guess seen from the names in game, Boise State prepped for different players to be in the game. And maybe all that preparation was dedicated to shutting down a Pharah, for example. Maybe dropping line of sights on a Widowmaker to force her off of that pick, or getting Guac to dive her on a Wrecking Ball. Forcing that frontal brawl to really deny a different DPS, or maybe it was a different off tank. Whatever it may be, it does feel, from what we've heard and what we've seen, firsthand here over the last 3 hours, it does feel like they prepped for a different UCSC squad. Maybe that's a 5,000 IQ play. Maybe that's the biggest brain move UCSC could have pulled out here. We'll be transparent and say that there are going to be some conversations after this, and we'll definitely get it figured out. But ultimately, UCSC take that crown, they take that trophy, and no matter what sort of contention both teams have with the decision, both teams played their butts off. Both teams deserve to walk away with this, and just barely it's UCSC, but not without a very, very hard fought series from Boise State. And after such a crazy season that they've had, I can't say it enough. Both teams deserve this win tonight. Both teams did. One team had to get it. One team had to lose out. And if you did it, if we went back in time and did the same thing again, I'm not sure we'd have the same results.
I mean, I agree. I mean, there is no better way to finish that one off of this Gladiators division. It is a spectacle. And for a 3-hour, 45-minute, and 6-second matchup nearing that 4-hour mark, I mean, this is by all means amazing to go. But the victor will be crowned the victor. UC Santa Cruz will be ready to be sent to the panel. They'll talk to the birthday boy of Jacob Van Ryan. Boise, they will unfortunately walk away with an undefeated season, but missing the last one in the playoffs.
I'm going to go for it here. Last second switch up. Caleb, can I be a part of that interview? Yes. Okay. We're going to the panel and unicorn.
And the marathon is over. UC Santa Cruz with the upset of formerly undefeated Boise State. 3-1 with a tie thrown in there just for good 3-2 with a tie thrown in there just for good measure. The tie screws me up. What a great match, though. It only took us 17 hours, 3 days, a month, a millennia. I don't know how long it took. I lost count. I can't count that high, guys. Infernosis and Unicorn did a great job. Jacob, before we get members of Santa Cruz in here for the interview, what do you have to say about this one?
Just a terrific game. It's everything you hope for in a championship final is to be played at that caliber. Obviously UC Santa Cruz came out terrific. They got off to that early advantage, and then Boise sort of flipped the script a little bit, and you felt like they were going to be able to potentially pull off the reverse sweep. But obviously, in that deciding map right there, they just made the kills and did what they needed to get the job done. And it was a very impressive performance tonight. And as you said, I don't think that's one that a lot of people predicted coming into this one.
No, definitely not. We're going to be getting the Santa Cruz team in here for interviews. For some reason, our producer is going to let Unicorn in here and ask a couple of questions. I don't know why he's taking work away from me and Jacob. Me and Jacob have been waiting patiently for this one to be over. But
I'm
apparently,
glad to have our guy Unicorn in here with us.
Apparently, Caleb likes Unicorn more than he likes me and Jacob, which is fair because I like Unicorn more than I like me and Jacob. But Unicorn's going to be in here asking some questions, and we're just waiting for Santa Cruz to get done celebrating and join us for the post-game interviews here. While we're waiting,
by the way, while we're waiting, you can get your ducks in order there. Great
Great job by our Twitch chat turning it around. A lot more positive as the match went on. We had a lot of fans come in from other teams. Awesome to see. Great numbers. Exciting time. Good job by you guys. I appreciate it.
Sorry, but there's a lot of stuff being said back and forth here. I'm trying to ignore the stuff that doesn't matter. It looks like we do have Santa Cruz in here with us, though. A lot of people. How many people does Santa Cruz have on that team? And looks like about 17 people in here. You see Santa Cruz, great job, big win.
Thank you.
Super big win.
Yeah.
All right, guys. Unicorn called the game. He's in here with us now. He's not on camera because he's not cool enough to be on camera with me and Jacob.
Too ugly.
But yeah, we don't want to break the cameras. But Unicorn called it, and he earned the right to ask you guys some questions. So I'm gonna pass it over to Unicorn.
Well, UCSC, congratulations, guys. That was huge. Not only to cast, but to watch firsthand from someone who coaches some lower divisions as well. So fun to watch you guys absolutely take it over from the beginning, and then have some trouble dealing. And I guess I'm going to tie into my first question here, dealing with that Torbjorn from Goblin. Immediately you saw it on Nepal, and then you saw it switch up on Blizzard World. In fact, I want to talk to Moses if I can I get Moses to talk about that Torbjorn, how you guys dealt with that, and how those antis into those graviton surges were able to define those fights where you were able to play so patient and go for retakes late in the fight with tempo ultimates?
Yeah, the Torb was definitely something we had in mind when we first started playing, because Goblin plays a lot of Torb. But he didn't start off with it. He brought it out because I think he's good at it. So they were falling back on what they're good at, and it was tough. A lot of the Torbolt kind of really messed with us. We couldn't really follow up on anything. We couldn't be aggressive. It was covering a lot of ground on the car, especially during last fights. And for us to come around from a 2-2 deficit, almost a reverse sweep, it was pretty good. We just played what we were good at on Rialto. They happened to pick Rialto, which is one of our favorite maps.
Yeah,
right
it's
now.
our best map, I think, is Rialto.
Especially for the double bubble.
Yeah.
I will say, Rialto is a great final map, regardless of whether or not teams like it. That's such a fun map. There's so many different things going on Rialto. You got big open areas, you got small closed areas. There's something for everybody. Plus, the architecture is just really nice. And let's be honest, there's a lot of fun things that can happen there. And that one, just a really good final fight there in the courtyard. Fun to watch. But sorry, Unicorn, you got more questions to ask.
You're okay, man. You're okay. So to talk about that, one of those final fights on Rialto, as you guys kind of paved the way on defense, you allowed Boise State to move for free at the beginning, opted for that double bubble comp that plays a little bit slower and goes for those backline picks via, kind of sacrificing your Winston to build up that Zarya charge. When you're playing high ground there, what can you kind of walk me through the comms of that patient game you're playing? You see Guac, you see them pushing high ground with that Sig as well from Kel trying to contest you. What do comms sound like on that very, very killable double bubble in that brawl close range situation as you're holding high ground? What made you stay there instead of defer back to the opposing high ground?
Are you talking about when we are on
I
defense?
think he's talking about when we're on defense, and I think when we were they were coming out around through those archways, and me and Gavin and Otters were all holding that corner, and we were just letting them try and come out and push into us. We stay there because I know I have bubble. If they come around the corner, if they commit, they're gonna die because they can't be healed. I can bubble them off and they'll burn to death. And we just have to stay there for charge. Sorry, But
it's fine. So by them committing, us holding the high ground, right, and we're playing the corner, it forces them, if they want to take the high ground, which they were doing, it forces them to go on a wide angle and try to push our tanks and our brig off the high ground. That gives more space and LOS to me, the Ana, so I can hit a nade, and our Ashe to poke and possibly get a pick. So they're getting a lot of poke, and our Monkey and our Diva are able to stay up there still with the double bubble, and we're able to build nano really fast.
For sure. So EMF, I got a question for you, man.
Yes.
All right. So when you're okay, walk me through Volskaya quickly, because it seemed like what was happening for a while was you were getting sectioned off by Goblin's Sombra. So I think the
Yeah.
name of the game for Boise was to allow you to jump in, let that bubble die off, get the hack on you so that you can't go for the counter dive to peel for your backline as Guak jumps in. How does the kind of walk me through the comms there as you're jumping back and forth and unable to really maneuver like you'd like to?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, that was my bad. I was hard trolling right there when I would like I knew I had to save bubble to block the hack, right, and then be able to just anchor point and try and LOS and play around corners and where Moses could see me. But yeah, I kind of inted that map at the beginning a lot. Like the first fight, I did it fine. Like I saw they were on Sombra, I bubbled so he couldn't hack me, and I jumped away. But then they just like came back in and hacked me again because I kited to the wrong spot. But yeah, so like that was tough for me because I knew it was like my fault, like that I was getting hacked there because I can block it with my bubble. So it's kind of just like you just have to, get out of the headspace of like, oh, I want to win the map, like we're about to win, and think about like, okay, we're playing Volsky, we're playing double bubble, they're playing Sombra Rush. What do I have to do? Like, how do I play like to win one fight after the other?
Yeah,
Comms
for sure.
during
Kinda
those fights were definitely chaotic, but people with like selective hearing hear what they need to hear, and it
Yeah.
really helped us.
So in those fights that are more chaotic, who are we leaning to as the shot caller? Or is it just kind of a six-man democracy screaming the right thing?
I'd say it's like 6-man. If somebody sees an opportunity, they're definitely gonna say it. If you like say it louder, people are gonna choose that over something else. Like let's say like Zach was like, "Oh, let's push in." I'm like, "Hold on, I'm reloading," or I can hit nade or something. They can back up. It's not necessarily the first call, but it's what.
Gotcha.
Yeah, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, and we kind of adjusted to like just during the fights. A lot of it can be chaotic if people are going on different targets and trying to take 1v1s. If we're not just playing rush, which is like very team oriented. So a lot of the times we would kind of isolate specific calls during the fight. Like if one person's low, we can target them. If the person that we're calling originally is out or getting lamped by BAP or something like that, then we can reprioritize a different target.
When it comes to like target focus, it's mostly Zach and I. That's pretty much it for target focus. As far as team plans and ult tracking, Otters was ult tracking. Zach and I also switch between the team planning depending on who talks first.
Gotcha. Well,
all right, guys. I'm sure Unicorn could sit here and ask you guys questions all day because he loves this game.
All right.
Sorry, Unicorn. He loves this game so much, and you guys are giving great answers. But I got to cut him off here because Jacob has something very important to give you guys.
Yeah, guys, well deserved. Obviously, a championship trophy coming out your way. Congratulations. We'll get you the trophy. We'll get you the shirts. We'll get you the headsets. Awesome performance here tonight. Congratulations on an NECC championship win.
Thank you so much. Thank you very much for running the tournament and everything. We definitely appreciate it.
Great job, guys.
I agree.
Thank you.
Yeah, congratulations, guys. Huge game.
Too.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, we're getting ready for match number 3 here. Unicorn and Infernosa is going to be calling that one as well.
Man.
Let's go.
Back to the mines, Unicorn. Back to the mines. Cal State University Dominguez Hills going against Northern Essex Community College. This is one that we've been talking about, Jacob, because one of our own in this one, Caroline Shaw, playing for Northern Essex, I believe.
Yes, she is. And obviously this top seed in CSU Dominguez Hills. We saw them win a Valorant title last night. They're second in NECC history, and they look to become our first school to win 2 titles this spring. So this has the makings of a good one. It's going to be hard to top that classic we just had, but this one could be pretty special as well.
All right, we're only 2 hours late, folks. We're only 2 hours late. We're getting to it. Match number 3, Cal State University Dominguez Hills versus Northern Essex Community College, coming up right now.
What will you like today? Another Cloud 2 classic?
I'll stick with the usual. Maybe take a little bit off the sides.
Oh, that's fresh.
The HyperX Cloud 2 Wireless. Legendary comfort goes wireless.
Hey, watch your head.
Well, an interesting start off for us. You guys aren't aware, but that was interesting. But a new matchup here in the NECC finals for Overwatch. We've got the Challengers Division, the Cal State University Dominguez Hills, CSUDH, so we'll call them, or we'll just call them Dominguez Hills, versus Northern Essex Community College, the NECC. We'll probably call them Northern Essex, just so we're not saying NECC over and over again, which may confuse some folks. So, nonetheless, a great matchup to behold. And these are two teams that have fought all the way through the first and second seed in this bracket. My name's Infernosis, joined here by Unicorn. You can follow him on Twitter at what?
At Unicornicola _.
Nice.
I'm on it so often. I think I got a post one time that had like 5 likes, and I think that's my highest. So you guys can go change that. Do they call them likes on Twitter? Are they likes? Are they hearts?
Yes. It's likes. Yeah, make sure to repost constantly. Make sure to hit that repost button.
Okay.
And occasionally click on the what's it called? The talk button to talk back to them.
Fair.
Yeah,
fair.
make sure to.
We'll have to go over the logistics of social media a little bit later. Right now, it doesn't matter what we're doing. We're still reeling over Boise State versus UCSC. UCSC upsets the entire Gladiators division, takes the whole finals, but now we jump into challengers, like you said, and you've got Northern Essex Community College going against Cal State University. Like you said, Dominguez Hills, a little bit easier. We'll go with that from now on. And man, this one has been close, neck and neck the entire time, right? Dominguez Hills coming in as your number 1 seed. Northern Essex, your 2nd seed. And back to back here, right? Like we've seen both teams be dominant throughout the regular season, almost get reverse swept throughout the postseason. It's been back and forth, but both have found themselves here in the finals.
Yeah, and this is a big one. I mean, you got big names here. Girthquake, 3D, Hizzy, Mama Shiba, E-Metal, Danny. And Danny's usually subbed out. I mean, you typically will see them kind of rotate who they bring in. Danny is a really, really good soldier, one of the best soldiers I've seen in the NECC. And then you got Night Fury, who we know Night Fury is the Mercy player that gets all the kills, right? We know for a fact.
Yeah,
I mean,
I remember it. We gave Night Fury MVP
because they just punched people. Like
to this day, I want to say. Let me I don't know if I can go back and double check that. I want to assume that Night Fury, she's still the only person support that's gotten MVP so far, right? Is she the only support that's gotten MVP?
I think we may have given a Baptiste at once, but I don't think so.
We'll forget about that. Not important.
Yeah, not important. It's Mercies that are important. Yeah.
Night Fury, as far as we know, as far as production knows, that's our eye in the sky, right?
He's the best, yeah.
They've got 8 monitors, 6 consoles right in front of them. They're able to go through and see that and know that, hey, Night Fury is the only one. Infernosis, can you focus?
I don't know how to.
Was that not a good impression?
It was really good impression.
Don't say it. We'll get copyrighted.
You did it a little well. You did it a little too well.
Well, good. All right. Only in front of 100 and whatever people. Listen, hey, look at me. Look at me. Look at me real quick. Let's talk about Overwatch, okay?
Yeah.
We got this. Settle down for a second. We can do this together. Okay? All right. Look at me. You talk now.
Okay. Okay. XQCL. All right, so obviously leading into this, a really, really big matchup to come through. Keep an eye out for 3D Hizzy, who has been such a phenomenal diva player throughout the season. They have managed to do so much, like just main potential, but they've kind of been focusing a little bit on Ryan. Same thing you see throughout. You're going to be seeing Mama Shiba, who can kind of fill that same role. They like Reinhardt as well. Both of them kind of prefer Reinhardt in their kind of choices, but it'll be 3D Hizzy who's actually starting off on the Zarya, apparently, and for the opposing side, it should be a pretty close mirror match when it comes down to this, because it is control. You're more than likely going to see a brawl. Double bubble can come through, but we're not going to see as much of a comparison as we did last game. I think that was just the apex of the double bubble of that Winston playstyle.
Yeah.
Not sure we'll see that here, but I am interested to see what's going through. We have one standout player that we know and we all know here, I guess, at the NECC. It's going to be SGK Carroll. More than likely, we'll be focusing a lot when it comes to Mercy for a lot of their plays for some higher angles. When the Lucio is brought through, it does give a speed boost to go forward, and you'll see that kind of be focused, but Mercy tends to be the stronger choice when it comes to this NECC side when they're playing. Just outputs more heals, a little bit more viability with Valkyrie, but I don't think I've seen CSUDH bring Lucios that often. They really like E-Metal on Ana, and they do a very good job of playing Ana.
And it's strange because ultimately, with a higher healing output or not, I think this should be, on paper, a very easy control for the side of Northern Essex here. When you've got Carroll on the Lucio, you know things are going to go well. You can speed your team forward. Kermie on that Reinhardt is going to be a menace inside the backline because, and simply because, he can make it there faster than the rest of Dominguez Hills can. And that's what's important there, is as long as Kermie can get in the backline and frag forward, and that's why they're able to take high ground faster, and they've already set themselves up in a defensive position here. A couple people will miss the lift, interestingly enough, trying to go for some poke, but instead Dominguez Hills will find their way onto point, and ultimately it will be SG Carroll and friends for the side of Northern Essex that do have to drop down, and the point actually falls to Dominguez Hills.
Not a good position to be in when Dominguez Hills is able to take an early start. Danny does find a Helix Rocket into Kermie. Mama Shiva finds a kill into Tilted. And now it's just Dominguez Hills just trying to finish off the last few. Zara not able to escape. They're not going to let it go in their favor. Girthquake now putting some points of